is that BPD, there's actually some very interesting data. So a lot of people think of BPD as being incurable. But there's some really fascinating data that if you can get in a stable relationship for 2 years and have someone not abandon you, then there's a 50% chance your BPD will like actually go away.
You sound good to me.
You sound good to me too, man.
Good.
Good. So how you doing, man?
I actually had a few days where I was helping a friend with depression, which was kind of therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
And I was using some things you taught me, and it seemed to be working. It was nice.
Well, hold on. Can I ask you about this? I mean, I want to preserve this person's privacy and everything.
Yeah.
But I think that's awesome. Can we talk about that for a second? I'm excited.
Sure.
So tell me a little bit about someone that you know and obviously care about was feeling sad or down or depressed.
Yeah. They're in a spot in life where they don't really know what path they want to go down. They have a lot of minor interests, but no big, overwhelming drive toward one specific thing.
Uh-huh.
And then I was able to relate that I was in a spot like that before, and how good it will feel to find the specific drive or motivator. Dharma, you call it, right?
Yeah.
And just trying to search with them for what they could do, what they're passionate about, asking a bunch of questions. It was fun for me. I was excited to help them find it, and we seem to be getting somewhere.
That's awesome, man. I'm so happy
Yeah.
to hear that.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I don't think you need to like have a degree or be like a licensed professional to like help another human being. And I think it's, yeah. Sorry.
I can't see you in Discord because you have to turn it off in
Oh.
OBS. Wait, or is it me?
No, maybe it's me. Hold on.
You haven't pressed the little camera button at the bottom?
Oh, there we go.
Okay, there we go. And then,
Sorry about
here
that.
We go. All good.
Yeah, so I think that's awesome, man. I'm so happy that you were able to do that for someone.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed I very much enjoy trying to help people find something they're passionate about. I took that Myers-Briggs 16 personality test.
Uh-huh.
What do you think about that, by the way?
So I think it is a useful tool to help people understand themselves in terms of like what resonates and what doesn't. There's a lot of non-independent research on Myers-Briggs. So Myers-Briggs has not been, to the best of my knowledge, very independently verified.
Okay.
So there's a Myers-Briggs Research Institute, and they do a lot of research. But I don't think it's been studied as well as something as like, let's say, the 5-factor model. Which doesn't mean it isn't useful. It's just may not be as scientific as people think it is.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, Myers-Briggs is, in my opinion, based on Ayurveda, which not many people know.
Tell us about that a little.
So Myers-Briggs was developed by people who were studying Carl Jung. So Carl Jung is the one who came up with the term introvert and extrovert, I think. And so they sort of took some of Carl Jung's teachings and then tried to develop a system of personality assessment based on Jung's work. The interesting thing is, like, Jung's work is heavily influenced by Eastern philosophy and Eastern perspectives on the mind. So, for example, the idea that there are different mental types, which is, I think, Myers-Briggs has done the best job of sort of sharing this concept with the West, which is that, like, your mental type is not the same as other people's mental type. Which is generally, like, when we think about psychology, like, if you study a psychology textbook, they talk about, like, they talk about principles of the mind as if they apply to everyone.
Yes.
Right? But Myers-Briggs says, oh, there are fundamentally different kinds of minds. And that concept, I think, is different from, like, it's not actually a Western concept. That's actually, like, a concept that comes from Eastern medicine. Because Western psychology and science and medicine is about the standardization of all human beings. So, like, when you learn cardiac physiology, a heart is a heart is a heart.
Yeah, it's very beneficial to realize that the minds are different. So then
Yep.
you can try to, when you're communicating with someone, you can realize that their perspective is a different one than yours, that they see the world in another way, that even the things they enjoy or care about can be complete opposites, or I hadn't realized that so much. I guess that's what I was liking about a friend of mine talking about the Myers-Briggs.
Yeah, and I think just as a practical point, so I did a Myers-Briggs training where we did like a personality assessment through like the official institution, as part of my psychiatry training, and I thought it was wonderful. Like, there were all kinds of, like, there was actually a medical doctor who's a Myers-Briggs trained person who was teaching it, so she was explaining to us how a lot of the interactions we have within the field of medicine can be broken down according to Myers-Briggs personality typing, and I actually found it to be quite helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what or do you feel comfortable sharing what your type is?
Yeah, so I took it a long time ago, and back then I got INTP, but then I took it 2 days ago. I got a completely different one. So I've changed, I guess, but I have to look up which one it was. I watched a YouTube video on what it was afterwards, so I'll look at my history.
Did you take the official test, or you took like an online version?
So I took some online version. It was pretty long, though.
Okay.
What's the official one in comparison?
I mean, you have to pay money for the official one usually.
And how long? How many questions is it?
I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe like 150 or something.
Okay. Man, I'm having trouble finding this. I got one that when I went on the YouTube video about it, it said that this personality type enjoys trying to help people find what they are passionate about.
Yeah.
ENFJ, I think.
That is wildly different from INTP.
Yeah. Let me make sure. ENFJ. Oh, wait. Maybe it was ENFP. Hold on. I was watching this video. Hold on. Is this the one? Yeah, okay, I think it was ENFP.
Yeah, so in the official Myers-Briggs test, they also give you, like, what percentage you are. So, for example, like, you can be a strong T or a strong F, or you can be kind of in the middle. And a couple of other things about Myers-Briggs typing, so you can, like, fluctuate over time, and you can adopt different attitudes in different situations.
Yeah, so right now this seemed really fitting for me because it said that I like to start things and inspire people and give broad ideas, and then other people will go in and do the specifics, which is really accurate for what I'm doing on Everland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. How are you feeling?
Today?
Yeah.
So today I haven't taken psilocybin.
Okay.
I don't know if you can tell. I'm feeling okay. I have my usual low desire.
Okay.
I've had some wavering confidence recently. It's just coming and going. Like sometimes there'll be moments where I'm very confident in myself and wanting to talk to people. I'll be going on a walk outside by the river, and I'll start conversation with random people, and in a way that I was never able to do before. I used to maybe think, oh, how would I even talk to someone? I'll say hello, and then I'll run and have nothing else to say. But somehow I'll always think of a topic, something pertaining to exactly what's going on in the situation, or I don't know. And the conversation just flows, and it makes me feel confident and good that I can do that.
Yeah.
But then other days I feel low self-esteem and scared to look people in the eyes even. So it's going back and forth a lot, and how good I'm feeling has a lot to do with the validation I'm getting from others, and I'd love for it to be more independent. But if one person finds my one person finds my my conversation or whatever uninteresting or uncomfortable for them, it'll affect my mood a lot, and I won't be able to focus or feel good about myself. Yeah.
Okay. Out of curiosity, the first time we talked, do you know if you had used psilocybin that day?
I had, but it had been like 5 hours before we
Okay.
began talking, so it was near the very end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How does it feel? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
How does it feel to sort of not have control over which Reckful shows up?
Well, I do have control because I can take it or not take it, and that's in my control, right?
Oh, okay. So do you feel like the confident Reckful shows up when you do take it?
Yeah, when I take it, everything's consistently better. And
Okay.
every single time I'm like, maybe I can be interesting without it. And maybe I prefer being without it today. If I decide to take it, then I do feel better every single time. It hasn't ever happened where I don't. It's interesting. So I was talking with Gary, my brother. He said he was watching our talks, and well, he was really happy for me anyway, that I'm feeling better nowadays. But he wanted me to mention to you that I've been missing him also in my life because he ran away and went backpacking in South America 15 years ago and never came back since then. He came back. He streamed with me like a couple of days, like in 2012, and he came for a few days here and there to the U.S., but he's just been traveling the world and staying in hostels for like 15 years. And he said he ran away because it was overwhelming for him, all the responsibility he had to take on in the family, that he felt like he had to be my dad when he was my brother, you know? I actually wanted to bring him on. He said he can't today, but next week he said he could come on if we want to talk.
Okay.
Three people.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, maybe that'd be good, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, people are excited about that.
What do you think? What do you think about that, Reckful? About what he did, and why do you mention it? Why do you think it's relevant here?
Well, why did he mention it? Or why do I think it's relevant?
Why do you think it's relevant?
I think it's relevant because it helps paint a fuller picture of the story of our family. And actually, his experience was probably a lot harder than mine, because he was 16 when it happened, and it's more formative years, I guess. Or I'd guess so. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And his personality shifted, 180 degrees when it happened. He was texting me talking about how a fuller picture of.
I mean,
no, people are excited about that.
What do you think? What do you think about that, Reckful? About what he did, and why do you mention it? Why do you think it's relevant here?
Well, why did he mention it? Or why do I think it's relevant?
Why do you think it's relevant?
I think it's relevant because it helps paint a fuller picture of the story of our family. And actually, his experience was probably a lot harder than mine, because he was 16 when it happened, and it's more formative years, I guess. Or I'd guess so. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And his personality shifted, 180 degrees when it happened. He was texting me talking about how he feels to blame that my brother died, and he feels like he knew he was going to kill himself, and that he could have stopped it. And he feels like my brother didn't directly tell him, but he knew. And when you go down that thought process, it's really hard.
What's hard about that thought process?
For him, to take the blame on for it. That's very hard. And I was telling him though that it would have happened regardless if it didn't happen that day, because I know what it's like to be sad for years, and it's really hard to avoid trying to kill yourself at some point.
Yeah.
Now, unless he had found a really good therapist or some medication, I think it would have happened regardless.
Or psilocybin.
Or psilocybin, yeah. Which that's medication, I think.
Yeah.
Or meditation, maybe. I think the problem with meditation, even if it gets you there, a really depressed person won't put in the time required. That's the problem. So I believe you fully that meditation can get someone there. I just don't believe
where?
Out of depression.
Okay.
But I think it's really hard to get a depressed person to start meditating and stick with it. Similarly to how I feel it's very hard to get an anxious person to go to therapy because they're too anxious about going.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
So I think the tricky thing about meditation is while it is an evidence-based treatment for a lot of mental health issues, it requires a lot of, I don't think it's a good acute treatment, right? So when we think about medicine, there are acute treatments and then there are like non-acute treatments. So I think yoga and surgery are both good for your body, but if you've been acutely injured in a motor vehicle accident, you need surgery, not yoga. And I think yoga is good for the healing process and to make sure you maintain mobility and things like that afterward. And I kind of think about meditation the same way. So I actually dislike it sometimes when some people come to me and they say, I'm super, super depressed. I don't want medication. I just want to meditate my way through it. And I'm happy to have them try that. But I think that science has given us a lot of tools, including, psychoactive compounds like medications. And then if things go, I just saw a couple of other things about FDA fast tracking MDMA and other of these psychoactive compounds because I do think that they're therapeutic.
Yeah.
But is it okay if we
they push you right into the experience? They well, at least they open the door for you, and it's really easy to go in that door. I heard it. MDMA helps with PTSD. I think we talked about it a little bit.
So, Rekful, if we were to just think a little bit about what direction you want to go, so I feel like we have a couple of open doors that we can explore. One is that, if you want to continue talking about psilocybin and how it makes you feel and when you use it and when you don't, we can talk about Gary and what it was like. You were sort of putting yourself in his shoes a little bit and sort of imagining what it was like for him. And we can continue to explore that. Or we can talk about what it was like for you to have Gary leave. And I think all three of those are good. What do you think we should spend our time on today?
It's interesting. Today, all of those sound scary to explore. Maybe it's because I'm not on psilocybin, but I think about it, and it sounds like a daunting task to go down any of those paths.
Okay.
I don't know which one we should go down. I prefer if you chose.
Okay, sure. So I am going to actually offer number 4. So how do you face life when life gives you daunting tasks? Right? So let's not go down, let's not force ourselves through any one of those roads, and let's try to find you where you are. Because I'm so glad you said that, Rekful. Because I think a lot of the challenge, like you said, it's hard to meditate when you're feeling a certain way. And the way that you're feeling, instead of just pushing you down a path because it's quote unquote good for you or, helps you understand things or whatever, let's try to meet you where you are and talk about what does it feel like.
I like this thought process.
To live where you are right now.
Yeah.
What is it like when you have a choice in life to take some substance and then for things to no longer be as daunting? And then to not take that substance some days and then life feels daunting. That sounds terrifying to me.
Maybe a bit. It's more terrifying to not have the option to take anything, because then you're hopeless.
Okay.
But I agree with you that most people wouldn't like the feeling of reliance on anything like that. I also often get the feeling of reliance on other people.
Yep.
I don't do well alone. And I'll be very overbearing for people sometimes because sometimes I feel like I just need someone to talk to. I can't be in my thoughts. I'm
Yeah.
losing my mind in my room. I just can't handle it. So I'll just message someone and they won't respond. And I'll message them again and I'll have this huge wall of text. And then they'll be like, oh, this person is just too much for me. Even if it's a long-term friend, someone I've known for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And then I'll notice they'll start talking to me less and less because of these situations where I was overbearing or just needed them at the specific time and try to push them to go outside with me or, you know, spontaneously. I always want to do these spontaneous things. And most people like to plan more. I've always had trouble planning. I never bought a round trip plane ticket. Yeah.
What is it within you that what are you hungry for in those moments where you need someone else?
Connection. I want to hear someone relating to me in some way. Well, I think I do, but then if I actually reach out to someone very depressed, then we bounce off back and forth about how much life sucks, and it just gets darker and darker. So, and then if I reach out to someone happy, I can't relate to them.
Sounds like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it looks like you're looking for something, but I mean, are there people that you can connect with that sort of have the balance that makes you feel better?
Once in a while, and it's really incredible when I find that. And those people mean so much to me. I'm so scared for them to disappear. Because there'll be people who have been there but are currently okay. And I think those are the ones, when I talk to them, they can relate, but they can also be optimists.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's a really important realization. So I'm going to just repeat back some words at you. And so it sounds like you're looking for connection.
Yes.
Right? And that you're looking for a particular kind of connection, someone who understands where you are, but at the same time isn't where you are.
Yes.
And when you find someone like that, you feel something within you feels really good. So how do we describe the way you feel when you find someone like that?
When I find someone like that, oh, well, it feels... I guess I was smiling just thinking about it. I think I'm looking a little bit for family in my friendships. And it feels like I have a family member at that moment.
Have you thought about that before?
No, that was just now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that you got there that quick. I think you're learning fast.
Yeah. I wonder if I can process these thoughts better sober. I feel... So, there's this disconnect that I'm not interested in my own thoughts right now. You know, because I have no desires. Because that's how I am. And But I assume that if I'm on psilocybin, since I'm having more fun... Since I'm getting provoked by thought that my own thoughts are stimulating my mind, that everyone else is more interested in what I'm saying as well, which isn't exactly always true. I can't tell because I'm locked in my experience, and if my experience is better, I assume other people's experience is better. Usually, as a streamer, that is the case. If I'm laughing, other people are laughing. It's been true, but there have been a couple times where I've been really happy, and there was this really strong disconnect with my chat. They were not enjoying me that day. And that doesn't seem like a profound realization, but it was. Anyway, I can't tell right now if I am thinking or getting to the correct conclusions quickly or more slowly than usual. I feel like I'm talking slowly right now.
You are talking slowly. You're certainly
Yeah.
less animated. So there's also another layer of something going on. It's like when we're talking about you and suddenly you start talking about your interactions with your viewers. Right? So this we have to be careful about, because how much of the person that you try to be is about being you, and how much about it is like being what your viewers want.
Well, I've had a moral in my head since I started streaming, and I guess since I've started living, really, that I always want to be true to myself. I want to,
Awesome. I can get
yeah,
behind that.
it's one of my favorite ones. Because the because is a little harder to define. I've always noticed myself getting annoyed with other people who are putting up a facade, or an alternate persona. I also think it's damaging to society in general for anyone to be pretending to be happy when they're not. Actually sharing your pain helps others relate. If people are just watching happy people all the time, they wonder what's wrong with me.
I think that encapsulates a lot of what's the damage of social media.
Yeah, I agree. And even on social media, even I'm guilty of it, because I don't feel like tweeting, "Hey, I want to die right now." Don't really tweet that. But and then if I'm having a good thought, a happy thought, I'll tweet that. If I'm live streaming, I'll share the negative and the positive. But on social media, you tend not to.
Out of curiosity, if you tweet, "I feel like dying right now," and you get a bunch of likes for that
What does
tweet,
the like mean? Yeah.
It's like, what does that even mean? Does that mean we love you and please don't hurt yourself, or does it mean
I don't know. We can
the
test
opposite? It's like so confusing. I don't even know what that means. Like, I wouldn't know how to interpret that.
I think all the employees of Everland would be a little worried about their job if I tweeted it.
Sure.
Which is not good for me or for anyone else.
So, Reckful, is it okay if I kind of go back to sort of you and the way that you experience things and take a step back a little bit from some of this social commentary?
Sure.
So this all started with a question that I asked you about, what does it feel like when you find that connection? And then you paused and you were thinking for a little bit, and then you said, took the words out of my mouth, and you said, "It feels like I'm trying to replace family with friends." And then we went off on this track of sort of like, I don't know if I don't know if I understand things better or worse when I'm on psilocybin. So you kind of went off on that tangent. But we can explore that too, about like, what is the nature of your understanding that you gain? What does it feel like? What are the advantages and disadvantages of being able to swim in both worlds, or should we just pick one? But if it's okay with you, we can run with this thread of connecting with another human being, because I think there's one there.
Sure.
So, can you help us understand what you meant when you were a 5-head or 6-head, and you said, "I feel like I'm trying to, I feel like I'm trying to, I'm treating my friends like family," or something?
Yeah. So,
How did you get to that?
well, crossed my mind this feeling I had when I was 5 years old and came home and saw laughing and smiling faces on the couch. Something I never saw again until I was 6. I've been thinking about that a lot ever since we started talking, and I realize I've always craved that come back, to bring that back, and a couple times I've tried to facilitate situations with friends where this would happen. I lived with a bunch of friends in a gamer house, and I'd want to come home and see a couple friends around the couch.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're playing Mario or something. And coming home to that gave me some deep satisfaction that I needed. Just from my childhood. Maybe not just from my childhood. I mean, people needed it themselves.
So what is that satisfaction? What is that feeling that when you connect with someone and they understand?
I feel what it is right now. My right brain.
What is it? What does it feel like?
It's that feeling where you really want to hug. Don't know how else to describe it. Yeah.
What I'm seeing in your face is an aching loneliness. Just an abject sense of just being alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it like hurts, right? It's like not just being lonely. Like lonely doesn't describe it. It's like hurts. Feels like something's missing, and the only thing that can, like, you need someone else to fill that in, because you've tried for a long time to like fill it yourself and you just can't.
But it keeps happening where the people I'm trying to fill it in with think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Because they're not as needy as I am.
So now there's a whole other layer to this. Do you need a minute, or can we keep going?
No, we can keep going.
So I think there are two fears. One is like the feeling of aching and loneliness, and the second is when you find those people, the fear that they're going to do it too, that they're going to do something and they're going to stop it.
And they do.
Yeah. So it's not an irrational fear, right? So what do we call that? What do we call it when
fear?
you're afraid of someone?
Call it fear of abandonment.
Yeah. And in your case, Rekful, this needs to be understood very clearly. So some people, when they recognize those things within themselves, they blame themselves. Like they say, I shouldn't feel this way, or this is ridiculous, or I shouldn't. Do you have those thoughts?
I used to, because everyone I talked to would tell me, I don't know why you're in a relationship when you can't even be happy alone. Or, that's a very common line I hear. I would say, well, I wasn't in a relationship, I'd want to die.
Okay.
Obviously not a healthy train of thought. It would...
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, okay? Now, if you have someone who's lonely, or not even lonely, how does someone get comfortable? How does someone get comfortable with being lonely? Like, what has to happen for them to feel comfortable with, like, separation from other things? And this may be a little bit of a rewind of the question, so sorry, I don't know how to answer this.
Well, I mean, that void you're talking about is to fill, but I don't know how to fill it. If I had a family, maybe okay. But in my situation,
not in your situation what you can do. Oddly enough, I think you're on the right track, and I want to stop there because I want to talk about someone else. Let's talk about someone besides you. Right? If you have a person who feels lonely and feels like they have a void within them, what is the solution? Because there's the camp of people who says, why are you in a relationship if you can't be happy by yourself? Right? They're saying like, okay, the first thing you need to do is fill that void, and then you can be with someone in a healthy and productive way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what they say.
That's what they say, right? But let's just think about that for a second. Is that actually correct? Because if you have that void within you and you feel loneliness within you, if you're afraid of abandonment, how do you get someone to stop fearing abandonment?
abandon them.
Absolutely. So this needs to be understood, Reckful. You cannot fix this for yourself.
That's a bit scary, yeah.
Right? So it's not that the relationship has to happen after you fix this for yourself. Or I mean, maybe you can fix it for yourself. Maybe that's unfair for me to say. It's kind of like a blanket statement. So I think maybe you can.
Just generally what you've seen.
But generally, when I think about people who have been abandoned, they fear abandonment. And that's what happened to them, right? Like, because apparently you weren't abandoned by just one brother. Right? How old are you now?
30.
Okay. So when you were 15, one brother left when you were 6. And the other brother left when you were?
15, yeah.
Yeah. And that's hard, right? And so, like, this is like... So, I mean, I don't want
It wasn't just like he left for a job or, you know, to school. It was... He left the country and never came back.
Yeah, so if he left for, like, college or a job, like, that I don't think is the same. Is like, he just up and, like, straight up left.
Yeah, because when he had left for college, it was okay. He would come back some weekends. And we would play Final Fantasy VII. Take turns.
Yeah.
Chinese food.
And I mean, it was bad enough without one, and I think you were maybe getting your sea legs under you, and then, like, round 2 hits. And then what happens is you have this thing that's afraid that other people are going to leave you, and I think the problem is that you're smart, and something probably very vicious happens, and I can imagine...
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy that if I'm afraid they're going to leave me, then they will leave me because I'll be overbearing.
And you can see it happening, and it terrifies you because you can't stop it, and you know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And each time it happens, it's another abandonment, another abandonment, another abandonment.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had about... There have been like 3 or 4 people just in the last few months that I've started to talk to regularly. And then I was quickly too much. They liked me at first in the company, and then I was quickly too needy or too much for them, and they started feeling like they should ignore me, which is it doesn't even feel unreasonable. I'm not mad.
Yeah. So what it comes down to, so I'm going to share a little bit of data, okay? And I want to be very clear about this. I'm going to talk to you about something called borderline personality disorder. I don't think you have this, by the way. It's not
really?
to diagnose
okay.
it.
A lot of people think I do have that.
Maybe you do. I don't know. So I don't have enough diagnostics.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I'm going to just talk a little bit about borderline personality disorder because I think that there's some features of it which are relevant.
Yeah.
And also, like, some very interesting data that some people don't know. So the first is that borderline personality disorder, a lot of times these people have a fear of abandonment. And so they do get overly clingy. And as they get overly clingy, they sort of, like, force people away. And then it kind of, like, reinforces their fear that, like, they're unlovable.
Yeah.
And then that sort of, in each round makes it worse, because once you do it to the first person, your sense of being unlovable increases, and then when you interact with the next human being, like that wolf has become hungrier, and so when they sort of treat you well, they feel really good about themselves, and when the person starts to, like, kind of slip away, it gets, like, stronger and stronger and stronger, and each round is like becomes, as you put it, a self-fulfilling prophecy. It makes it harder. Now, what many people don't know about BPD is that BPD, there's actually some very interesting data. So a lot of people think of BPD as being incurable. But there's some really fascinating data that if you can get in a stable relationship for 2 years and have someone not abandon you, then there's a 50% chance your BPD will, like, actually go away. So it's really fascinating. And I
so
think
it's the opposite of you shouldn't get in a relationship until you're stable on your own.
Yeah, so a lot of people struggle with BPD. But it's a really fascinating little snippet of research, which I don't think is, like, well understood by many people, disputed by many people. But the truth is that the majority of people who have BPD never see a psychiatrist. They just live their lives. And then some people, they're just, like, kind of crazy until, like, their 30s and their second marriage. and they find someone who's like stable enough to like not abandon them and also deal with their like neediness, and then like over time they get better because they start to like recognize, oh, this person actually isn't going to leave. And then like if you realize that someone isn't going to leave you, then what does that do to like the hungry, like that aching loneliness inside?
I heard you, but your camera froze.
Oh shit, sorry. Yeah, this is
okay. What the last couple words went a little robot.
So what
does that do to
the aching loneliness inside you if someone doesn't leave and you have faith and confidence in that?
I'd become more stable. I'd go through my days feeling like my presence was desired. I'd be able to go in my room alone and work on something and not feel like I needed to be near someone at that moment because I know they'd be there for me later.
Exactly. That's the key thing, right? You know they're going to be here for you. And the problem right now is when you start texting people a little bit much and they can't handle it, you don't know that they're going to be here.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
And that's what terrifies you. So the other way, so like even if you dispute the research on BPD, and I don't know if you have BPD or not, but think about it this way. If a child feels insecure about like being abandoned, like what do? Like when a kid
probably hug them a lot and spend time with them.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So like I'll share a little bit from my personal life. So when I had my second kid, my first kid was like really confused, and she was like super clingy to me because she didn't understand what was happening. So like I went to the hospital with my wife, and we were like at the hospital, and my in-laws, so her grandparents, were staying with her. They did an awesome job, and she likes them. But she was 2 years old, and she literally did not understand what was going on. She did not understand like why my wife and I would not come home.
Yeah.
And she would come and see us every day in the hospital, and she would be like excited when she saw us, and she would actually be okay leaving because she's like a pretty, confident, sort of loving kid. Mm-hmm. But she just did not understand like why mommy and daddy were like not coming back. And so she got super clingy for about a year. And that was like doubly so because especially towards the end of my wife's pregnancy, she used to do some things like she would Bollywood dance with my 2-year-old. But as she was like 8 and 9 months pregnant, she can't pick her up and throw her in the air and things like that. And so the 2-year-old was already like noticing that something is different. And then she like was attached to me at the hip.
Even at that age, there's that perceptive, huh?
That perceptive.
Yeah.
Right? So then for a period of about a year, she didn't understand because like my wife would have to feed the newborn, right? So she was like tired all day and things like that. She couldn't be like the person that my 2-year-old had come to know and love and expect.
The level of attention she had come to expect had diminished.
Yeah. And so she did not feel good in herself. Right? The 2-year-old just didn't. Because she didn't understand why these people are not doing the things, like, is something wrong with me? She didn't understand why they went away. Yeah. Because when you're 2 or because when you're 5 and someone goes away, like, you don't understand why they did that. You don't have the capacity to understand that they did that because of them and not because of you.
Yeah. I still never believe that sentence.
Yep. Right? Because like you can't believe it because you didn't have the capacity to believe it. And that thing still exists within you. And so what did she need to get out of it? So she's 2, not that complicated, right? She needed a third of her life to have someone who did not like abandon her in a very like intentional way. So my wife and I, we had this like conversation when she was like, we had these several conversations that like, okay, your bond with the new kid is not the same as your bond with the old kid because you're spending all the time with Vera. Vera's our older daughter. Our younger daughter's name is Avi. And so she was like saying that like, you're not spending time with Avi the way that you used to spend time with Vera. And you would kind of like talk about it. And it's like, well, yeah, that's because like Vera needs me. And so we're really concerned about sort of playing favorites and stuff. But I think in her case, it took her... Huh?
That's tough. I haven't thought about the intricacies of having multiple children and how you want it to be balanced where you give them both equal time, but what if one of them needs you more because they're
Yeah.
like this? Yeah, then you start to give one more attention, then the other one might be subtly losing confidence or yeah, that's tough. I wouldn't know what to do. There's no obvious logical solution.
Uh, well, I mean, so when you talk to people, I think there are solutions that are simpler that tend to do the trick. So, for example, like we made it a point to do like one-on-one time. Like each of us would swap traditional things. So, for example, my wife would usually give her a bath, and then I'd say like, okay, for this month, I'm gonna give her a bath instead of you. Let's just swap the things that we do. So there are a couple of actually pretty easy, like low-hanging fruit. Turns out to be not.
It's something. It's not exactly balanced though. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
but
hard.
It's just they need like some one-on-one time consistently. But the point here, Reckful, is I think like your solution is not that like you need to learn how to be independent. I think like I don't know if I'm painting this picture for you appropriately, but like what do you think needs? So like what did we manage to do for our 2-year-old that never happened for you?
You gave the 2-year-old enough attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you need. You need someone in your life who's not going to turn away for a period of at least 2 years, and you may be terrified that they'll turn away at 2.5.
Right. I might never get it. I mean, there's no guarantee I will, but I'll look for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So sure there is.
I would not say so.
There's only one way.
I've gotten in some really unhealthy situations because I'm so desperate for human interaction that I'll have paid people's rent just so they'd be my roommate. So I'd have someone around. Done it a few times. Just a lot of dumb things like that, or try to get them to quit their jobs and like give them a new job that requires less time so I could have a friend. And then obviously I've realized that these things are unhealthy, but I was just in desperate situations where I needed human interaction.
So Reckful, I'm confident I'm confident there's going to be someone around in your life who will be there for you most of the time when you need them, hopefully, for at least a period of 2 years.
Okay.
How can I be confident in that?
How can you be confident?
Yeah.
Well, you find me stimulating to talk to, and I'm not demanding too much of your time or spamming you with walls of text. And even if I were, you'd feel inclined to answer me because it's you love helping people. it's your passion. So from your perspective, maybe you can feel confident, but then if you put yourself in the shoes of any other human being, I don't know that they'll really spend 2 years with me unless there's
So Reckful, I'm not counting on them to spend 2 years with you.
What are you counting on?
I'm counting on myself. It's the only
Oh, that
thing I
you'll
can't
spend
be
2 years
confident
with me. Yeah, that I believe. That I can believe. That,
So I can't trust any of them.
True.
So I'm gonna try
It's
to
nice
love
having
you for,
someone to come to every week like this.
I'm gonna try to love you for 2 years, at a minimum.
I really appreciate it.
So this is the other thing is that I do helping people, but I also like helping you. And I want you to understand this, Reckful. I'm not even helping you. Like, this isn't help. I don't like the phrase help. Help implies like charity, right? It implies that you have something and that you have nothing and I have something and I'm like helping you. I'm not helping you. This is just me being human and you being human. I don't know if that makes any sense. I think it's one of the hardest concepts.
What do you mean by human?
It's just like we're just being us, man. It's not something fancy.
You're
it's
doing
not
what you
something
enjoy.
It's not about enjoy. It's I'm being who I am and you are being who you are. And that's the most that we can expect of ourselves.
Yeah, I want to say that I fully understand, but I
That's
don't.
okay.
Yeah.
And if you do spam me with walls of text, I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
No, actually, I like this. This is good practice that I have to wait the week
Yeah.
because that's what other people want me to do. They want me to plan ahead and wait to see them when they have time and not be like, oh, I need to hang out right now. I need, let's go outside. I need someone to talk to, please. Yeah.
And this is the other important thing, Reckful. Very important. Very, very important. Okay?
Yeah.
We have to be careful about our relationship.
Yeah.
Because the challenge is that when you start doing things to get people to be with you, you can do that, but it taints what they mean to you. And it taints the color of what that person does for you. Because then something like goes into your mind and it's kind of like, are they doing this because I'm paying their rent, or are they doing this because they like me?
Yeah.
So it's very important that we're very careful about like not tainting, and for you to go forward, if there's someone that you want to form a relationship with, don't taint the relationship. Don't try to, or just be aware of that. Because what you really need is someone who wants you for you.
Yeah.
And you make that hard on them by giving them things that they may need in life.
Yeah, but recently I tried to make it mutually beneficial, at least I hope so.
Things can be, you can engage in mutually beneficial relationships. That's fine. I'm just saying, like, be careful about when your loneliness, there's a difference between helping someone out because they're your friend and you care about them as a genuine person and you're just trying to help them out. And there's a difference between that and trying to keep someone close to you because you're feeling lonely.
Yeah. I've done both for sure.
Yep. And sometimes those get muddled.
Yeah.
So
I'm not saying anything.
Just going forward, just be careful about that. And try to notice that loneliness within you.
I'm trying. So it keeps happening where I'm hiring people on Everland. They're very talented. But I also like spending time with them. So it's getting close to that muddled area, but it really does seem like the correct play. I'll ask, I'll ask Talbadar, my lead designer, if this is a good hire. He'll say, yes, it really is. They're amazing. But I think this is a situation where it's mutually beneficial. That's what I actually really like about this whole game development thing is they're getting a job. God, my first thought was I'm getting a friend, but it's funny. They're getting a job. I'm getting a friend. I'm getting someone to, and I'm also, the project is progressing because of it, and it's forming a sense of community in our workspace.
Yeah, so I think that makes sense, and I think that it's challenging to navigate those relationships, and what I want you to do is like cut yourself some slack, okay? Because you have
in what way?
You have a big void of love, and that's gonna cause you to do a couple of things, and that's not like it's not your fault, right? Like you just need more love, man, and that's okay. And at the same time, I think you should be intentional about giving yourself the opportunities to be cared for, appreciated, and loved by other human beings who are not your employees, and to cultivate those relationships.
Yeah, I'm trying. I have a few now.
Yeah.
My old friends from WoW are the best examples because
Good.
we just met online and played games together and talked every day for years. formed a deep sense of community. It was a little sad for me. It's similarly to how after high school, you and all your friends go to different places and pursue different walks of life. After World of Warcraft, all my friends went to different games or job careers, you know. Even if we went to the same career, if it happened to be streaming, it's actually such an isolating job most of the time. Not for you, because you're talking to someone every time, but for most people, they're streaming on their own, just playing a game, right? So it wasn't the same as when we just spent time together online.
Yeah. Good. How you feeling right now?
Feel I'm happy that I was able to come on here without psilocybin and still deep dive some thoughts, critically think, get somewhere, learn something. Also, I think my viewers probably like seeing the other side of me here, because I've been on psilocybin every stream for a while. I'm scared to be this version of me in front of people now a little bit. I mean, they used to see this version of me all the time, but I'm just identifying more with my happy side. I like being happy. I wonder what the last thing.
So I
like
think you're.
both of these.
I think you're doing a really good job. Because I think you're right. I mean, who doesn't like to be a happy version of themselves? But I think that the real you is not all happiness. That's not what life is like. Life is not just the happy side. And there are a lot of people who try to chase that part of themselves. What I would advocate for you to do about everyone else is that you be both of these people and you learn how to be sad right through that. Because I do believe that you can be this person and it not be as hard or as painful as it is. Like, I think that if you have someone who consistently loves you and demonstrates that they're not going to leave you for a period of 2 years, then being this person is going to be different. And the sad and difficult thing is that's not something you can do. You can't make someone love you. Like, that's just something that you can learn with butter. Someone has to come into your life and you have to, like, create this time and space for that relationship.
It makes sense what you're saying, because there have been times in my life where I've just given everything up for a relationship, and now I understand why. I'll just stop streaming and I'll go anywhere, do anything to be closer to the person.
And so this is the hard thing. This is why I guess maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot here, but I guess I'll follow it. And the reason is because I think that person needs to also, I mean, they don't need to understand this, but I think that person needs to not let you do that as well.
Yeah.
Right? So that person
I've realized that.
Don't let you, like, if you want to move to Boston, I'm going to say no.
Right.
Right? And it doesn't mean that I don't care about you, but it's just you should continue to live your life and have some degree of constancy from someone. And it sounds like you're in a romantic relationship, so it doesn't have to be.
Right now I'm not, no.
Oh, okay.
I was, though. I dated a Twitch streamer girl, and we met in Japan. We were both IRL streaming in Japan. And it was so exciting to meet like that. And then we traveled to other places together. But then when life kind of settled and slowed down, I was slowly giving up everything just to spend more time with her. At one point, I actually deleted my Twitch channel, which my viewers thought was insane. Because I don't know. I can't even explain why. I don't know.
Okay. Well, conversation for a different day.
Yeah.
Do you feel like meditating for a few minutes? Do you have
Yeah,
questions?
yeah. I feel like I need a break from thought.
Yeah, good. Do you want to take a break for a few minutes first and then meditate?
No,
or
no,
should
no.
we go
I'm
straight
ready to meditate right now.
How clogged is your nose?
It's pretty good. I'm getting over the sickness finally. I think I've been sick the whole time we've known each other. Maybe
yeah,
not the first session. Yeah.
So nowadays I've been on a chanting kick. I've chanted with a couple of people. How do you feel about trying that?
I saw you do it with Lily. By the way, I love Lily. And I'm really happy you talked to her. I'd love to see more of that. Yeah.
More what do you mean by that?
More of you talking to Lily, I mean.
Oh, okay.
It made me happy. I saw her do the chanting and feel super awkward. I like the whole thought process behind it. It was like that she has to overcome this awkwardness. I like that.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna. Are you feel up to chanting?
Yeah, let's do it. I've never done it.
So remember that chanting is, and you guys should do this at home as well. So chanting is composed of 3 syllables. Oh, we're gonna do Om chanting. So, okay. And thanks for the subs, Andy Milanakis.
Andy Milanakis. I know.
Oh, yeah. So he's a famous person, right?
He is a famous person. Yeah.
He just gifted a bunch of subs, so thank you very much, man. Okay, so we're gonna do Om chanting. So I'm gonna demonstrate 1 round, and then we're gonna do 1 round together, and then I'm gonna hear you do 1 round. Okay, so I'll demonstrate once.
Just trample the grass.
You're
Trample the grass, or how do we break these loops without medication?
so medication doesn't break the loops. Let's start there. Okay.
Really?
So
okay.
yeah. So let's just think about it. So if you were to say, let's say we have a field of grass and we have a game trail because 1,000 animals have gone down it, and I were to ask you, Rekful, how do we make a different game trail?
We'd have to repeat new thoughts in our head over and over.
There it is. Right? So we have
which is, I think, why people do the gratitude journals.
Yeah.
A little bit, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's one reason they do gratitude. So I think gratitude is one way to do that. But I think
is fun.
Huh?
I just said talking to you is fun.
And so the other thing is we think about things in a new way, right? And once you learn something, like once you start like recognizing, oh, okay. And I think you recognize things within yourself. So you recognize, okay, there's a thought, my mind is about to go down this game trail. But I've also started this other game trail, so let me see if I can redirect down there. That's what reframing a cognitive bias is about. So when people tell you, like, oh, Rekful, you're lonely and you should learn how to be independent, and then you beat yourself up for feeling lonely and you feel like you should be independent because there are other people who are your age and look at how independent they are. All of your thoughts, those are a bunch of game trails, but then you say, no, hold on a second. I'm different, and I do feel lonely. I'm allowed to feel lonely, and I'm going to feel lonely until I get enough love.
I love that you're telling me this, because everyone else has told me the opposite in my whole life.
Yeah, and how has that worked for you?
No good.
There we go.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, that's like the clinician within me says, if you give someone a treatment for 30 years and it doesn't work, maybe try something else.
Yeah. It's like the trying the same thing over and over is the definition of insanity thing.
Right? So it doesn't work for you. So if at first you don't succeed, don't try again. Try it a different way.
Yeah.
And in your case, I don't think, I mean, like, it's not a complicated psychological thing. I think you just, I mean, maybe it is, but like, I think at the end of the day, like, you just needed more TLC than you got. And it doesn't mean that your parents did a bad job or that anyone did a bad job. Tender love and care.
Tender love and care.
And you, boomer terminology, Rekful.
Is that banned TLC? Is that what it means?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know anything about bands.
Yeah.
Anyway, so any questions for me before we wrap up?
Um,
Specific thoughts, questions?
what do you think about me on and off psilocybin? What's your take on it?
I mean, my take is that you are where you are right now, and in order for you, so I mean, I place a value judgment on psilocybin and substance use because of like my life, but I try
Gotcha.
not to judge other people. Like, I don't know if I've shared this on stream, but you know, one of my patients who has a lot of physical real problems like confessed to me that they use marijuana from time to time, and they were afraid that I was going to be upset because I teach meditation and yoga, and they come to me to learn all this like healthy, natural kind of stuff. And I was like, look, you're doing everything right. You know, you do yoga 5 days a week, you meditate every day, you're eating healthy, and sometimes life just gives you pain. And if you're saying that you use marijuana from time to time, and twice a month, because there are just days where it just really, really sucks and you need a break, like I think that's fine. You have to decide for yourself.
Yeah.
So the choices that I make in my life about what I choose to use and the value judgments that I place are for me. They're not for you. Now, I think the only thing that I would really... Oh, wow. So learn so the only thing that I would say for you, Drexel, is the only mistake that I think you can truly make is to not be reflective about it.
Okay.
If you go through an honest process of exploring alternatives and seeing how the way you feel and trying to live a sad Drexel as opposed to happy Drexel, like explore that, and then come to your own conclusion, and whatever conclusion you come to, just don't do it on autopilot. That's the thing. That had more of an emotional impact than I was expecting. I was in professor mode. I don't know if you guys caught that. There are different modes. One is I'm quiet and I'm listening, the other is I'm critiquing. Okay, well.
No, it was this feeling that you accepted me and that gave me the option to make my own decisions as long as I'm consciously, critically thinking and asking.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's not my place to tell you that something's right or wrong. I mean, I may do that from time to time.
Chad, I want to tell you guys, Dr. K and I are going to do this every week now at this time. If you don't like this time slot, tweet at us. We'll think of a different time slot. Or I kind of like this time slot. Maybe 1 hour forward or 1 hour back, or whatever. But, Wednesdays 1 to 3 Eastern is our current plan. Tweet at us if you want it slightly changed. Are you flexible to move it an hour here or there?
Yeah, I just need to know ahead of time because I
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, so let me just think about this real quick. Okay, so thanks a lot, Rekful.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to you next week.
I enjoyed this. I don't feel overwhelmed like I went too far, but I feel like I learned a good amount, and I'm ready to go on with my day and get some stuff done.
Good.
I hope you guys in chat enjoyed yourselves, and thanks for the hearts.
Take care.
And take care. See you next time. See you next week.
The amount of time that you spent on a tangent was greater. So how did you do that? Did you have a thought just now? Oh, I need to stop talking about this. No, you didn't. You just stopped talking about it. Okay.
Right, so
how you been, man?
How am I doing?
Yeah.
You know, today's great. But yeah, I'm happy. You're
I'm
really
happy to
leading
hear
me in
that.
a good direction, honestly. How the fuck do I do this. Okay, so here we go. I like so Dr. K and I had an off-stream talk 2 days ago, and I was sober. I say I was sober because I take something that I consider a medication for depression most days.
Sure.
But I was sober when we talked, and actually I want you to describe it. What was your experience? Because your experience will be clearer than mine.
Of the conversation?
Yeah.
So how much context do we want to share about the conversation? Because I know there are some things in the conversation.
I don't care about anything in there is fine for me to share. So it's all up to you.
Well, at one point we talked about something where I have to sign an NDA, right? So we should talk about that.
Oh, okay, just that, yeah.
Right. So, okay.
But I didn't go in depth, so it's fine.
Okay. I just, so I wanted to just, so what was my impression of the conversation?
Yeah, no, you can actually say anything you want to say about anything in the conversation because I didn't talk about the part with the NDA because you hadn't had you sign it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so whatever you want to say.
So, but what was your question?
Oh, I forgot at this point. Okay, I want to update the viewers on what happened off stream because they missed one therapy session that isn't therapy.
It's not therapy, right? So
Yeah,
that's
so
actually what we
so what
talked
happened?
about, right? So I think my impression was we were talking about clarifying what our relationship is,
Yeah.
and whether this is therapy or this isn't therapy, and
Yeah.
what our options are in terms of how to form a relationship. And I think that, the last time we talked on stream, we had a conversation about abandonment, and then I made a very bold claim because I got emotional as well, and I felt like I wanted to be there for you so that you no longer felt this way. And I think sometimes what happens amongst people is that they have different kinds of complexes, and I have them too. And one of the things that happens with me is when I see someone hurting, I want to make them better. And sometimes I will, in that moment, say whatever I think I can to make them feel better, but sometimes that's irresponsible. And I think in a sense it was irresponsible, but I think from our perspective, we're trying to understand, like, what is this for you? What is this for me? What are we doing on Twitch? This is like kind of a new thing. And I think a common perception is that if you're talking about feelings with someone, then that is therapy. But I think you can kind of say, like, so Rekful also shared with me that he had a great conversation for several hours with Pokimane. Am I saying that right now? Right, where he also talked about feelings and things like that, but I don't think that I don't think that Pokimane is your therapist. I don't think I'm your therapist. I think you can talk to another human being about feelings, and you can explore things that are authentic and important to yourself, and that doesn't necessarily make you a therapist. And so we were also talking about the other options in terms of, like, what are we? Are we like colleagues, like that we'd stream on Twitch together? We'd sort of talked a little bit about, things like viewership and stuff like that. I raised some concerns about favoritism. So I want to try to treat people equally. And I just wanted to kind of acknowledge that if one person is coming on stream over and over again, are we doing a disservice to other people?
Which I think you are. So I think I shouldn't come on stream over and over again with you every week.
Yeah. So I think,
life.
and so I think that too, for me, feels like it's closer to a doctor-patient relationship, which I think becomes really complicated if you're kind of working with someone week after week, And I think the other thing that we expressed is that, like, so I want to be Rekful's friend, right? So, but if I'm your friend, then can I be your doctor? Do I want to be your doctor? Do I want to be your friend? And I think the reason that this kind of relates to Rekful is because I think Rekful he's a very warm, open, and caring person, and also tangles up his relationships with people. And it's something that I actually do too. So I tend to tangle up relationships with people. I tend to not see things in terms of black and white, and that's the reason I started. Sure, that's part of the reason I started streaming anyway, because like no one talks about feeling, like, no therapist or psychiatrist has come live on stream to like talk to people about mental health or their feelings. Or maybe it does happen and I just haven't heard of it. But I think that's a little bit unorthodox. And so we basically had a conversation about, like, what are the bounds of our relationship? What's acceptable? What isn't acceptable? I don't think I mentioned this to him explicitly, but this was kind of running in my mind. So people forwarded me this clip where Rekful said that he would pay $1 million to see me do psilocybin. And we didn't talk about that, Rekful, right? Yeah. And so I think that's a good example of like, you know, what does that mean? And like what's going on there? So like, what are you looking for? And like, so our relationship could get real muddy real fast, right? So when people start, and it's not the first time this has happened where people will offer me vast sums of money for X, Y, or Z. And that just kind of makes me concerned because like, what are we really doing? So we just had a conversation that was, you know, since in the spirit of relationships and you know, a couple weeks from Valentine's Day, we had a DTR conversation. You guys know what that is? DTR?
DTR. I don't even know what that is. What's a DTR?
DTR.
Damn it, tell us.
Define the relationship. Right? And so I think it's important, right? Because like people, like I want to be careful about what we're doing on stream. I want to be, we're here to help people, but I also don't want to send the wrong message, and I also don't want to leave people hanging. And I think at times, I'll let Rackful share sort of what he remembered about it, but I think at times the conversation did get pretty emotional, and but that's for him to share.
Yes, I
said my piece.
He was saying that he wanted to be there for me for the next few years, and that but the problem is that he kind of said it in a flurry of emotion. I don't know if that's a word. While streaming, he was getting emotional himself, and he wanted to be there for me. So he said it, but he hadn't actually thought it through, and what that entails, because that is not a licensed therapist in Texas. Just a lot of things, you know, because you'd have to live in Texas to be my therapist in Texas. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so we also did talk about, you know, whether you want me to be your actual therapist and what that would entail. And the other thing is that bit of research, which is important to remember, is the research on people on BPD. It's 2 years of someone who's actually a romantic partner. So it's unclear whether a friend...
So yeah, I need to get in a relationship with a girl for 2 years and have it actually work out, and that might cure my BPD, which...
Yeah, and so this is what we also kind of talked about. I don't know if you remember, but like you know, it's not about curing and the relationship working out. It's about developing.
I have trouble not thinking in these terms. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So exactly. So that's what we need to change, right? So you think about things in terms of working out or not working out. I think we had talked about. So what's going to happen as you enter relationships is that there are going to be stressful parts and not stressful parts, and if there's a stressful part where your scar of abandonment gets triggered, then you may act in a different kind of way, and we can talk about that. Like, I'm curious about, you know, your prior relationships and things like that. And as that scar activates, it causes you to do things that you normally wouldn't do, and those are kind of driven by that fear of abandonment.
Unprocessed trauma.
Unprocessed trauma. Great way to put it. Right? So some of the trauma of losing your one brother and then another brother, like you're terrified that like you'll lose someone else, and so you try to...
My other brother's still alive. He just means he's not around.
Yeah. And so I think what we need to help you do is like use meditation or psilocybin or however you want to, but to gain perspective on those moments and essentially ride out those emotions so that you can like not do something that negatively impacts the relationship. So we need to help.
Now, my mind is stuck on certain things.
Yeah.
So I'm stuck on. I like to get these things solved, I guess. I don't like to be in the tension so much.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I'm in the tension of, is he gonna be my therapist, or are we gonna be friends? Because he said if he's my therapist, we can never travel together anywhere. Like, it changes how it is. So I was thinking it'd be cool to go to Japan with Dr. K. You know, that sounds nice. Yeah, that would feel nice.
Yeah.
Just see how he experiences things and have fun. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think it's
good.
Actually,
I really want a friend, but you know, then I think longer term, I'll have friends. So what I need is a therapist, maybe.
Yeah, so I think rather than resolve that issue, Reckful, I think the important thing is that you said something really, really beautiful, right? Which is that you do not like the tension.
It's a big problem in my life, yeah.
I
don't like the tension. Every time I'm around a girl, I like to just have it resolved right away that, okay, this is not going to be anything romantic for sure, or it might. Like, I just want to get it out of the way.
Is it okay if we talk about that?
Yeah, that's a big problem for me in my life,
Okay.
for sure.
So why do you need to get it resolved right away? Let's think about that.
Well, okay, let me...
What don't you like about being in detention?
I don't know. I have to figure it out. I have to figure it out.
No, we're talking about it. We're talking about it. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll tell. Yeah. So, absolutely, right? So let's think about this, because like here's the thing. If the girl decides to date you, how?
I think it's really funny that I wanted you to figure it. Yeah, I think you're Pepe laughing. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, I have an answer for you, but I'm gonna try to get you there on your own.
Yeah, you want to get me there.
Yeah. So if you are, so how comfortable are you if she says yes?
There's some problems. I'm a boomer. How the fuck do you scroll up in Twitch chat now? They changed something. I can't scroll up. It just keeps scrolling down. What is this? And also, someone said my mic is too loud. Close control.
No.
Is my mic too loud? Because this is important to get fixed right away. And someone said I'm cutting him off too much.
Cutting
He's not. I'm cutting you off. Okay, I need to stop reading. Okay, so let's close it.
Yeah.
Everything's working.
Close to a chat.
Okay, good. Hello.
Okay. So, Rackful, tell me, how comfortable are you if she says yes?
Very. I was really thinking it through.
How comfortable are you if she says no?
Also comfortable, actually.
There we go. Right? So this is important to understand. You'd think, and the word that I'm using is important, right? So there's comfort. So why are you comfortable with her saying no?
Because then I don't have to think about it anymore. It's not what I want to happen. It's not my desired result. But at least my mind isn't in the tension. I'm just like, oh, okay.
So let's be clear. So,
I can write it off as something.
Yeah, you can write it off, but she's rejecting you, right?
Yeah.
And you're somehow okay with rejection.
Yes.
Why? Like,
It's not my...
It's not your desired result. I completely agree.
Why
How
am
are
I
you
okay with it? Because it's fucking better than sitting there and wondering all the time.
That is a given, right? So we're saying that the tension is the problem. But
Yes.
why is outright rejection better than being left wondering? Which I think a lot of people can relate to this. But let's just think about
Logically, it's worse.
Yes.
Logically, it's worse because now I
Yes.
have no chance.
Exactly. That's what one would think.
Chance is
but
good.
But
It's
actually,
really funny. Actually, I love this conversation. Let's think about it. Okay.
yes,
So.
let's absolutely think about it. There's no hope if she leaves. If she says no, right? At least like in the tension, in theory, there's hope. And one would think that hope is better than rejection. That's what one would think.
I know why.
Let's hear it.
Okay, because then you're going through your days and little events happen, like a certain text or like an emote or like stupid things or just like a person you see them if it's a real life thing. And then you wonder, like, did this mean something? Did that mean something? And it clogs up all this mental effort for you. You'd be wondering all the time. And then for it to just be a no actually makes your life easier in all those ways because you can think about other things.
I completely agree that is
God
the
damn it, I'm
effect.
still not there. Fuck.
No,
Okay,
no,
I
no,
get
no,
it.
no,
It's
no,
just
no.
attention right now. Okay.
You're there. You're there. So that's what's
I'm
bad.
there.
You're defining what's bad about being in the tension and how you feel relief when you get rejected. So I'm not disagreeing. You're completely right. I think you're just missing one thing. And the question is, why in particular, Reckful, are you? Why are you afraid of hope and okay with rejection? Right? Because that's another way to define this.
That sounds fucked up.
It does.
That's me.
Yes.
Fuck.
What do you think?
Okay, I'm afraid of hope, and I'm okay
Because
with
that's what
rejection.
the tension. So sure, there's like a mental burden of you wondering, right?
I'm afraid of hope, but okay with rejection. I'm afraid of hope and okay with rejection.
Comfortable with rejection.
Okay is the next word. Afraid of hope.
Why do you prefer certain failure to uncertain success? That's another way to think about it, right?
Close my eyes. Why do I prefer a certain failure? Now, should I go back in my life really far, many years, or should I just think recently?
Wherever you want to go.
What the fuck I want to do? Alright. Why do I prefer a certain failure to uncertain success? Oh man, it's kind of like when I just stopped streaming on Twitch for long periods of time. In the past, when I was like, just wanted to be a streamer, like my main career. But the whole tension of the numbers going up and down, and not like on viewer counts, and not knowing it was too much, so I'd rather just run away and close it off, not stream at all. So I
Very
prefer
good.
Yeah, okay, that's. Look at that. To your right. Well, I know you're right, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
I really
So let
like
me
the
ask you
sentence though. I prefer. I prefer. Why am I afraid of hope? Okay with it. I tweet that. Let's see if anybody knows.
Okay.
Can I tweet it?
Sure.
This is not helpful at all. I wanna see what people say.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
Why am I afraid of hope, but okay with rejection?
So another way to think about it.
That's how
is-
you worded it, right? Why am I afraid of hope, but okay with rejection?
Yeah. Sure. So another way to think about
I
it.
tweeted it. I tweeted it. Everyone answer.
Okay.
See what-
So another question is why are you? So why are you okay with rejection, but not okay? Why are you comfortable with rejection, but uncomfortable with conditional love? Right? So like unclear love. That's the other way to think about it.
Say it again.
Why are you okay with rejection, but
I am okay.
not okay with conditional love?
I'm not okay with conditional love.
Right? So like possible love.
Is that what conditional love means?
No, it doesn't mean that.
Can you
That's not a
define
good-
conditional love for us?
So like let's say like possible. Like so let me put it this way. The uncertainty possibly getting rejected for you is worse than actually getting it.
I can see that this is a conversation you've had with people a lot of times, and it's not super stimulating for you, and that's distracting me. So I'm closing my eyes.
No, sorry, I've just got a call and I need to make sure it's not an emergency.
Okay, so maybe I just assumed a lot of things.
Yeah.
My thought process is bad.
We'll talk about that in a second too.
A lot of problems.
Okay, so let me ask you another question, okay? How much XP do you have? What if we had to say you have different skill levels, right? Like you gained XP at like being in a relationship, being rejected, and being in the tension. How much XP do you have in each of those environments?
Oh, I have a lot of experience being in a relationship.
Very good.
I've experience being single. Actually, more experience being in a relationship though.
Okay.
And then very little in the tension.
Right.
I'm low level. I'm bronze at being into tension. Okay, if we're using for some reason I like using the League of Legends things. The bronze, silver, gold. You know,
Sure.
plat, diamond. They haven't said that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm bronze at being in attention. I might be like gold or high silver at being in a relationship. I'm not very good. And I'm not that good at being single either. I'm not really good at any of these things. Okay, so but
So
I'm the
we're
worst
not
at being in
just-
attention for sure.
No. So, but being
Yeah,
single
you're
is
right.
not what we're talking about. We're talking about rejection. That's not the same as being single, right?
I'm okay with rejection. Yeah, I'm chilling.
Yes, because you have lost
I've dealt with
people
that a lot.
before, Reckful.
Huh.
Absolutely, right? Because you have
Yeah.
lost people before, and you have
Yeah.
survived.
Yeah, I'm fine. I think.
Yeah,
not really.
because I mean, so think about that for a second. You've gotten used to it, right? Like you've gotten used to people,
Yeah.
and you can handle.
Yeah.
it.
Fuck. Okay. Yeah. You're right.
Does that make sense? So the certain rejection is an area that you actually have a lot of experience in.
That's that.
It is. It's very sad.
Realizing that it's silly for me to unthink. Okay, done. Now.
Yeah. So like, if you think about it, your XP with rejection and losing people is actually like you're super high level, right? So it hurts. There's no question that it hurts, but your capability to deal with it is good.
Actually, I'm fucking diamond at getting rejected.
Absolutely.
Thanks, bro. Yeah,
It's sad,
funny.
but like you started learning that at a very young age, right? You started learning rejection and loss when you were super young.
Uh-huh.
And then each time it happens, you level up a little bit, and so you become more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
What's terrifying is like you don't know if people are going to stay or leave. Like you can deal with either camp. You can be in a relationship or you can be rejected in a relationship. You can have someone say, "I never want to see you again," and it's painful, but you survive because you know how to do that because you're actually really resilient. And you have like winning and losing is doable. It's the hope, right? Because this is like you can only like let yourself hope for relationships so many times, and like each time someone ends their relationship with you, it hurts like more and more and more, and it gets harder and harder and harder to like try to love again.
You're right.
Right? So it's like you just need to know, because like the possibility that they're gonna say yes is just so terrifying. Because the flip side of uncertain acceptance is also uncertain rejection. So the possibility of rejection is worse than rejection itself. It's the not knowing.
Yeah.
Right? And so even now, like
a girl told me really recently that, or she was telling another girl. She told me when she did this that I'm really weird in that tension spot. She didn't use the word tension, but and like that I want to just know right away that it's not a relationship thing. I was telling another girl that I'm weird like that, and the other people are comfortable just being, hey, maybe this will be and maybe this won't.
yes.
Yeah,
So
I can't do that.
That's what we have
Right
to
now.
teach you how to do.
Yeah, I wanted to be able to do it.
Okay. So I'm tempted to actually ask you to meditate, because I wonder if
Let's do it.
in your state of mind this will maybe something you can appreciate. Have we talked about the moment where inhalation becomes exhalation before? You seen this? Have I talked to you about this?
The moment when inhalation
Becomes
I didn't even know
exhalation.
inhalation. Wait.
So
I'm having one of
inhale.
those. There's this. I know there's this weird moment. You know when you're looking at a word for a long time and it starts to look like it isn't a word. Have you had that happen before? Never had it happen in your life?
Where I look at a word for a long time and I
You stare at a word for a long time and you're like, wait, is this actually a word? Is this how you spell this word? You've never had it happen.
I don't
I can't
know.
believe you've never had that happen.
I mean, maybe I have. I've had that experience with things besides words,
Okay.
but just maybe not with a word.
Okay.
Because
Anyway.
I don't know if I've just stared
Inhalation.
at a word.
Inhale, exhale, inhalation, exhalation. They're
So you have
words.
inhalation and you have exhalation, right? So close your
Yeah.
eyes, sit up straight,
Yeah.
and find the moment where inhalation becomes exhalation.
I'm sitting up straight and I'm finding the moment when inhalation becomes exhalation. Is this straight? This is not that straight. Is this straight enough for you?
Your spine should be straight. You can be leaning back. That's okay. But your spine should be straight.
Okay. So,
You guys can try this at home too.
we're going. The problem.
Yeah. Yep.
We're
So
finding.
find the moment So in the parabola, there is a smaller parabola, right? Because at the beginning of the parabola, it's inhalation.
I get it,
yeah. So zoom in and find the moment.
Okay, got it. I found it. What do you want?
Okay. So you found it. So are you finding a point or is it a parabola?
It's a parabola. I think.
So then how can you find the moment if it's a parabola? Because a parabola describes a range.
I found the range.
Find the moment, because at one point it's inhalation, at one point it's exhalation, right? So there must be a transition.
We must step back here and discuss this. Finding a range to me is identical to finding a moment, because we can keep dividing moments into infinitesimal amounts of time forever. There's no, even if you find a moment, it's not. I mean, it could be divided further, right? So we're just looking at it as a range.
How comfortable are you with it being a range and not a moment?
Super comfortable.
Super comfortable.
Yeah. Because a moment is the same thing. A moment is a range also.
A moment is a range.
Yes,
sure
a moment is a range.
Okay. So,
I mean, logically, yeah.
No,
I guess
forget about logically. Just, I'm asking about the conviction of your belief. I'm not trying to poke holes in your argument.
Yeah, a moment is a range.
Between her saying yes and her saying no is what?
Between her saying yes and her saying no is tension.
And what is that tension?
A range.
Between inhalation and exhalation, there is what? And you are looking for. You cannot sit in that range, so you must practice sitting in the range, because I know you're capable of it.
See, but it's not exactly my issue. My issue is I know this range exists, and I'm comfortable knowing it's a range and don't have to know any further. So with most people, maybe that would be the issue, but that's not mine.
What's your issue? Why are you uncomfortable with the uncertainty?
I don't know, and we're still trying to figure it out, right?
So I think it's because you can be comfortable with a range when it comes to the breath, but you are not comfortable with a range. That's what the very definition of the uncertainty is. You want it to be a moment.
Moment. I don't like the word there, but
okay.
I want it to be. God, wait, my camera got so bright. Why does it auto-adjusting like that much? It's not good. I'll just be dark. I want it to be. I want to know I'm accepted.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
It's simpler than what, yeah. I just want to know.
So,
But why am I
understand
okay
this.
with getting rejected then?
Because you just want to know. It's not about being accepted or rejected. You just want to know. Because in this instance, you are not uncomfortable with the range, right? You're the very definition. If you say, I just want to know, you want to be squarely in inhalation or squarely in exhalation. You're fine with either side of the middle of the parabola, but it's in that middle area where you are just intensely uncomfortable. Does that make sense?
Of course.
The problem is that when you become attached to a relationship, you cannot see what otherwise you understand.
That didn't make sense. When I become attached to a relationship, I cannot see what?
You otherwise understand. So you are completely comfortable with the idea that there is no inhalation and there is no exhalation, and that there's something in the middle, which is the parabola. And that if we think about that, the parabola is like the uncertainty of the breath.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
But right now, your mind is calm and clear, so you are able to live in that uncertainty without it torturing you. It's just simple. There's nothing to worry about. There's no inhalation. You're not stressed out about it. It's a parabola, and you say that with utmost conviction. That there is no moment, it's just a range, and you're comfortable with that range.
Yep.
And range is uncertainty, right? Like, it's like kind of the same thing. Like, that's what you're saying. Is that you cannot define it. It is like, it's a range.
there. There's the range.
Absolutely. And when we think about her not saying yes or not saying no, there's a range.
That's uncertainty.
That's uncertainty. She could say yes, she could say no.
No, because there is a binary answer at the end. Whereas with the breath, there really is something in between when you inhale and exhale.
Then I encourage you, so I do not think both of those statements can be true. So I'd say zoom into the parabola even further and look for the binary answer. That's the whole point, right? So the point of the exercise is don't find the moment where inhalation becomes exhalation.
Oh. I guess it's a fun thing to help you zoom in on the breath and anchor, right?
Sure.
Is that why we do it? Okay.
We do it for all kinds of reasons. That's one.
Right there. Okay. I mean, I can find that center of the parabola range, the range that is in the center of the parabola.
So zoom in further.
And there's another range.
Absolutely. And another range, and another range, and another range. But you know at some point, like from a very simple, like physiologic standpoint, at some point you are not inhaling, or inhalation becomes exhalation.
Oh, fuck, you're right. Yeah.
Right?
Okay, yeah. At some point, we're doing the other thing.
Yes.
At some point, like the vacuum turns on or whatever, you know.
Exactly. Right? At some point, you're no longer inhaling and you're exhaling.
I see. You smart.
So then there must be a transition. And you can detect the range of the transition, but this is why you have to practice this technique.
But we can't find. Okay, then I counter that we can't find the point, right? Because it's just too small a range of time that we'd have to be able to slow down time to find it.
Exactly.
Which is.
So this is where, if we think about it, right? So like if we think about a practiced skill, when I play WoW Battlegrounds, my perception of time is way too fast.
Just imagine you playing a WoW Battlegrounds. That's so funny. I would watch. I was about to say I need to not stop saying pay, but I would fucking love.
Dude, I used to.
Can you stream playing a WoW Battleground? It'd be so funny, please.
Yeah, sure. Maybe one day. Sure. I just
I just really want to see.
People
will want to see. People will want to see it.
I used to play Warlock, and I used to be, on the one hand, really bad, but also on the other hand, at times close to being a top of my server. But,
wow.
But also really bad, like nowhere near like someone who's actually good at Battlegrounds.
I would love to.
Or no, not top of my server. What's the top rank?
I mean, what the fuck are you talking about?
There used to be like echelons, right? No, sorry, not Battlegrounds. In Arena.
Arena.
Yeah.
You were Gladiator? No, you would know.
No, I
Duelist,
was
maybe?
not.
Duelist, the one under?
Yeah, I was like Duelist, and had an
like
option. So I had a clan that was Gladiator that invited me to join because they thought they were good enough to join their PvP team, but I just didn't have the time, so I turned them down. But I think I could have done.
Listen, this didn't have the time thing. That's a cop out, okay? Maybe you didn't.
Fine.
With the amount of time you had, you weren't good enough to do it.
Absolutely, completely agree. And may have never been.
If you had the time, you might have not made it either.
Completely agree.
Okay, so you shouldn't talk like that.
Fair enough.
All right, there we go.
But case in point, so
this kind of stuff makes me want to be your friend and not your patient.
Yeah. So let's. Okay. We'll get to that in a second, but let's not get distracted. So my perception of time in Battlegrounds is way faster than your perception of time. Sorry, but not Battlegrounds. PvP Arena. Right?
Okay, so it feels like it's going fast. For me, it feels like it's going so slow. Yeah, I'm just like, oh my god, this game's. Like, I'm just waiting for this kid.
I listened to a YouTube video of you playing Battlegrounds, and I was amazed. Arena. Sorry, I was amazed by your ability to describe what is happening and what is going to happen next. It felt like it was slow. Like when I go into PvP Arena, it's just like I feel like I'm being dropped from a skyscraper, and then before I know it, like my Fellhound is dead and all of my mana has been drained.
Fellhunter. Yeah, I'll explain. It's because you just get to know all the abilities. Well, you already know this, but you get to know all the abilities of every character and their cooldown. So you get to know that there's nothing that can happen to me in the next 10 seconds because Rogue doesn't have Kidney Shot and he doesn't have Vanish right now, and I cannot be stunned. I'm just chilling. So I'm not in tension because I know it goes back to the other thing. I just know nothing can happen to me, so I'm chilling. you know. And then I think but I know all their abilities of all three. And then
Yeah, so your ability,
play a lot.
your ability to process who is using what abilities on the enemy team requires a slowing down of time that I don't have. So, okay, good. So it's good that you noticed the flow of your thoughts.
Yeah, but you weren't listening at the very end.
Sure, I was.
You sure you were?
I think, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just don't, just because you involved me with the last statement doesn't mean I'm going to treat any of the other, that statement is different from any other thoughts. Right? Those are the thoughts, they're just random thoughts. Some of them involve me, some of them don't. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not what I was talking about. Yeah, let's keep going.
Okay.
I'm messing us up. Okay, so
Okay, that's okay.
how do I stop messing up? I keep messing us up. The fucking construction, dude. Okay, what do I do? So can you drown out this construction noise, and can you help me meditate through it and just listen to what you're saying?
Yeah, but if you're meditating, you're not listening to what I'm saying, right? Because
no, meditate now, and then it'll help me learn to focus.
Okay,
I can focus, and then I can listen.
If you want to focus and you want to calm down an active mind, we're going to give you a different technique. Okay, so this is one we've done before. It's alternate nostril breathing. This I think will calm down your mind. Okay, so sit up straight. Let me see this symbol. Okay.
Yeah. Dude, okay, I
Good.
have.
That's okay. You can't be like that. It's not. For the record, for anyone who's confused about not being able to do this, the tendons in your hand are not all individual for finger control. So like, there's one tendon that controls like these two fingers, which is why like it's hard to not do. It's just because your fingers aren't actually individually controlled by the tendons.
I'm very sad that this is the farthest I can go.
That's
and
okay.
I tried to push it.
I
know, I get it. The tendon, yeah, I get it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really actually complicated. So you have like some tendons that control multiple fingers, then you have smaller tendons that control individual fingers. So it's not like a deficiency, it's just how we're wired. So, sit up straight. So thumb on the right nostril, and breathe in through the left.
Thumb on the right nostril and breathe in through the left, yeah.
And then switch to the other side, block the other nostril and breathe out.
I'm blocking it with these two?
Uh-huh.
Why is that my initial thought? There's somebody, it's his job to do construction on the one above me to make it look nice. And my thought was, this fucking motherfucker. That's not a good thought. It's not, why did I think that?
Yeah, so...
Okay, and we'll keep going.
Okay, so...
I'm really sucking at this. I'm really terrible. I'm sorry.
No,
Fuck. Let me take a piss. Let me...
go take a piss.
Tell them about how terrible I am.
So, I guess the question, chat, because we talked about this last time, is does psilocybin produce the same effect as meditation? And I think my initial answer to that is that I think that you can have similar experiences of consciousness in terms of derealization and depersonalization, but it was my belief that a big difference between psilocybin and the practice of meditation is that meditation also teaches you a practice of being able to focus your mind. And I believe Reckful felt like in states of psilocybin he was also able to focus his mind. Right? That he learned the same thing. So I'm curious about that. I don't know, because I've never tried. And I think that sometimes the mind is distracted, right? So we have to meet people where they are, and if your mind is distracted, that's okay. It's not the end of the world. So, a lot of people are asking, or want me to ask Reckful, whether he took shrooms today, right? People are asking about my opinion. Some people are assuming that he did take shrooms. I want you guys to really stop and think about what the purpose of asking that question is. Like, if the answer to that question was yes, how would you feel about it? What emotions would come up? Because I'm damn sure emotions would come up for you guys. And if the answer was no, what would come up? How would you feel? Does anybody know? Yeah, right? So, like, exactly. So notice that within yourself. And ask yourself, why do I stream? What are we here for? And does it matter at all whether Rekful is on psilocybin right now or not for what our goal is? Rekful, a lot of we don't have to talk about this. I'm just sharing with you that I don't know how much of that conversation you caught.
I heard a little bit. It's on the speakers.
Yeah,
you were
I can feel you.
why they are so curious.
Yep. So people
why are they so curious?
I think there's a certain voyeurism to whether you're on shrooms or not. So, like, I think people will feel... People like feeling right.
Okay.
Right? So like, I think, and a lot of times, like, when you have a hypothesis, it's very satisfying to feel right. I just don't think that question is relevant at all to, like, what we're actually doing.
I agree with you. I would,
So
especially now that we've done it on and off, I think there are certain topics that can be explored better on psilocybin, and certain topics can be explored better off. Because maybe I'd actually be uncomfortable or not go deep into a certain topic off of it, but then off I could also. You'd be better at commenting now that you've seen me both ways. I think it's a little different, but either way we can accomplish a lot.
Yes. I do not think we will accomplish the same things. But
yes.
I think we can accomplish a lot. And I think it's important. I know, so like this is like where we have to take a step back and ask ourselves, what's more important? Do we want to be entertainers on Twitch, or do we actually want to help? Because if we want to be entertainers, then we go down the road of asking Rekful whether he's on psilocybin or not, and then we laugh or joke about his ability to be distracted and whatnot. And I don't think that actually serves our purpose at all. Frankly, I don't care. I think everyone should understand that at times your mind is distracted. Whether you were on a substance, whether you were emotionally upset, or anything like that, at times your mind does not do the things that you want it to do. So in my mind, there may also be people who are tuning in because they want to see some kind of emotional explosion from Rekful, and they want to see him have an aha moment and stuff like that. I get that, right? That's good. That's good Twitch. It's like good streaming. It's fun to watch. But I want everyone to understand that, like, right now, Rekful, I mean, I don't think it's good or bad. It's just at this moment, he is noticing within himself that he's distracted. And who at home does not struggle with the same fucking thing?
Exactly. So I notice I'm getting distracted a lot, and I want to focus, and I know that you would be able to train me into focus better.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to focus on.
I'm excited to learn how to focus better.
So let's try one more time, and if not, we'll try a different meditation technique.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sit up straight, thumb over here. Actually, try this. Can you do this? Link your thumb and your ring finger. Thumb and ring finger. Not index finger, ring finger.
Thumb and ring finger. Oh.
There, yeah, that you can do. Okay, so now I
have a, just so you know, because I get uncomfortable about it, I have an actual, like, I'm significantly below average at certain tasks. Maybe like I have an 80 IQ at like shapes, and I don't remember exactly the.
Okay.
There's certain things I have like 80 IQ with, and like so one of them's like shapes and seeing rotations, and like my brain can't do that. So I'm just these things take really long for me. I just want you to know. That's all.
Okay, so let's just talk about that for a second. Do you feel insecure about lacking that capability?
I'm not insecure as long as people know. No, I just don't want people to wonder why it's taking me so long, always, with these kind of things. I just rather they know, hey, I'm challenged with
Okay.
this.
So can I tell you how I feel about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so just real quick, I could care less. The important thing is that we meet you where you are, and we get you to where you need to go. If you're impaired, if you're brilliant, if you're like, we just have to meet you where you are, no judgment, and just get you to where we want you to go.
Yeah,
So we try things and we try things.
I completely agree.
Okay.
I completely agree. Just sometimes people, when I've been streaming for 8 years, I've noticed people are like, how the fuck can he not do this? Like, I can't, and I always feel like I have to explain it, but I don't have to. Yeah, okay, let's go.
Okay. So, so we're going to try a slightly different method, okay? So I'm going to do, so this is going to be hard for you to see. So I'm going to do thumb and ring finger. We're going to go like this.
Test it, but now that you mention it.
Okay,
there's construction. Oh. I got this.
Okay. You can stop. How do you feel?
Felt good. Good, really nice. Yeah.
How's your mind?
I don't know if I can focus better yet, but I know that I'm very calm. Although, I must mention, he shut up for a second. The construction. Can you hear the construction? So he happened to shut up around that time. Shut up. Stop. So it helped me be calm. But wait, am I still calm? Okay, there's construction. I'm calm. I got this.
Okay. By the way, your camera's very dark now.
Yeah, it kept auto adjusting. I need to mess with the. I don't want it to auto adjust.
That's perfect.
Down.
How do you feel?
I feel hopeful that I can learn to overcome distraction from you, and that would be amazing for me because it's a major problem in my life. That's all.
Good. So, I'm wondering, do you feel like you're talking differently than before?
I wouldn't have guessed it, but now that you mention it, I'm probably more calmly talking.
Absolutely. Right. So you were saying 3 or 4 different things that were a little bit disconnected, and you were moving around from place to place. Now I expect that to return over time, which is okay. So what
Just
would
human.
you? Yes, that's certainly
Sort of.
part of it. Yeah.
Okay.
And so help me understand how you would like to spend the remainder of our time today. Let's say like we have another 20 minutes.
What would I like to do?
Yeah. So what? Because we've opened a lot of different.
Okay.
threads.
Okay. Yeah. Let's focus on how to focus.
Okay.
But with active, I want to use an active thought method. Maybe that's not the right way. Well, what do I actively think to tell myself to focus, or do I have to stop thinking?
So focus is not about telling yourself anything. It is about doing something with the attention of your mind. So telling yourself something is thoughts.
This
right?
is, yeah. This I'm really I'm novice at this stuff. I'd love for you to explain it.
So let's just start by like if you tell yourself something, that is a thought.
Yes.
Focusing your mind is not about thoughts. It's about directing the thinking machine in a particular direction.
Got it. Okay, so
like,
we're the controller. Here, this is us. And then we think thoughts. Okay. We think thoughts, and then there's a lot of disconnected thoughts happening. We need to learn to direct this, though, to just go in just one direction.
Yes. But it's very good that you're, first of all, realizing, so, like, the production of thoughts cannot...
Wait, if we're learning to direct this, I read a book called Mind Hacking. It's about hacking your own mind. And it kept mentioning that there's this... Who are we? Are we this thing? Or if we're able to figure out how to direct this thing, then we're something higher. Consciousness.
Okay.
It's interesting to me. We'll talk about it another time. Anyway.
Okay. Good. What did you just do, Rekful?
Trying to direct ourselves back to the conversation.
Very good. And you weren't able to do that about 60 seconds ago, right? It was harder for you. Or weren't able. It was harder for you. The amount of time that you spent on a tangent was greater. So how did you do that? Did you have a thought just now? Oh, I need to stop talking about this. No, you didn't. You just stopped talking about it.
Ah.
You see that? So that wasn't a thought.
I don't understand it, though.
That's
I
fine.
see yeah.
But you didn't
you
convince yourself. You didn't convince yourself.
You understand all this?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's the
Yes,
coolest shit I've ever heard in my entire life.
I completely agree.
Okay.
Like, I think it's the coolest shit ever as well.
Yeah.
So I want people, like, so, like, this is why I loved going to India. So, like, I lived my whole life not understanding how the fuck I worked. Like, I didn't understand. Like, when I wake up one day, why do I skip class? And when I wake up another day, why do I go to class?
Yeah, I want to know.
On some days, why do I fall asleep why do I go to bed at 10 p.m. like I'm supposed to, like a good student? And other days, why do I stay up till 4 in the morning playing Warcraft 3?
Yes.
And not even just regular Warcraft 3, but Warcraft 3, like, custom games, like UMS. Like, that's not even real War 3. It's, like, trashy War 3. For those of you guys even
No, the custom games are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even I felt like playing, like grinding ladder was, like, actually doing something, right? Like, playing custom games is just wasting your fucking time. You know what I mean?
No, I don't like how you're thinking at all.
Okay. Anyway, I enjoyed I loved it, right? But
no, just grinding ladder, that's a toxic thought process, I think. I used to be on that thought process where grinding ladder means you're doing something and I'm seeing this number get bigger, but it's all just an abstraction of it. You're playing a game to have fun. If custom games are fun, you should be playing those. If you need the number to be growing to have fun, there's a deeper problem you need to step back from.
I completely agree, but I absolutely had that deeper problem, right?
Okay.
Where my sense of value or self-worth was tied to, like, just like even today, you asked me what rank was I in PvP.
Right.
So that
the thing
has
is,
value.
it's annoying, yeah. The thing is, I wouldn't have been able to overcome this problem, and I'd still be stuck in the loop of wanting to have a higher rating if I didn't reach the highest rating.
Yep.
Because then there was nowhere else to go. There was a point where Blizzard had to patch the game so I could go higher rated because I hit the cap first. 3,000. You couldn't go higher. And they had to actually make a patch so I could get higher rated.
I completely agree.
I was the only person there. It was cool.
And this goes back to your art gallery. Why you quit?
I'm not trying to do it just to brag. I'm trying to say.
No.
I'm trying to say that getting there allowed me to step back and realize, oh, I don't need to be on this grind for the higher number forever. I should just play the game to enjoy it. But it's really difficult.
I completely agree.
Because then you don't end up playing as much. If you're not playing for the number to get bigger, you don't end up playing as much, and then you don't end up being as good. And when you're not as good, you can't play with those same teammates who are really fun. Oh, well, my teammates just happen to be good as well. I don't know.
So, Rackful, I'm going to pause for a second and ask you to apply what we're talking about to what you're talking about, okay? So, when you came to this... I'm trying to figure out how to say this without... You understood this first in terms of, like, why the grind is futile and not a good investment of your time. And then you understood the logic of it later, right?
Yeah.
Like, you came to a realization, and then afterward the logic got into place. But essentially the realization...
You're right.
Okay. So now we get to, like, this issue of how do we direct attention, because it doesn't come from the mind. So you realize something without actually using your active thought process.
You're saying it doesn't come from the mind. What do we define where it comes from as just a word so we can have a go-to word?
Consciousness. Simplest word.
Consciousness? Okay, so consciousness is the director of the mind and...
Yes.
And what?
So, I mean, there are different pieces, but I think generally speaking, the mind. So the consciousness is the controller of the mind.
Consciousness is the controller of the mind, but we can be conscious without mind when we meditate, is what you're right?
Yep.
Okay. So when we're conscious without mind... Oh, the consciousness never directs anything other than the mind, though. So just as it directs the one thing, and that thing can sometimes be off with the other thing being on.
Yeah, I mean, so you could say that the consciousness can also direct the body, because our body functions without mental thought, right? So
so the consciousness directs the body and the mind.
I've never really thought about it like that, but
I like thinking about it like this. It's very cool.
Right, so we have consciousness, which is our... Actually, consciousness doesn't really... in its truest sense, consciousness actually does not direct anything. All it is consciousness is our capacity for awareness.
Consciousness is our capacity for awareness.
Consciousness is where
This sounds intelligent as fuck, but I have to understand what it means. Hold on. Consciousness is our capacity for awareness.
So, Rackful, I want you
to... I'm starting to get it. I kind of a little bit get it. I don't
Okay, so I want you to rub your beard and just close your eyes and rub your beard for a second and just feel the sensation. Now, your noticing of the sensation, is that a thought?
I didn't think anything.
But you're still experiencing something, right? So that is consciousness. There's no thinking. There's no analysis can come after. So you can have thoughts about it, like, oh man, like this feels rough or this feels soft. All of those analytical thoughts are of the mind, but the actual noticing thing is only the consciousness.
Now, here's a part where I'm not sure you're right.
Okay.
I keep mentioning on my stream all the time. That goes back to the split brain experiment again. It goes back to the split brain experiment. I could be noticing things without thinking them. You'll see with the split brain patients, they'll like try to pick out their article of clothing they want to wear for the day, and then the other hand will knock it out and they'll pick something else. It's really, it's
Yeah.
insane. Yeah. Then it could just be that other side of the brain though, that is what is noticing that I'm. The right side of the brain could be noticing that I'm rubbing my beard. It doesn't think in thoughts though.
Ah, but so there's a difference between brain and mind and consciousness, right? So, the consciousness.
So we're abstracting past the brain. We're not thinking about the brain.
No, because consciousness and mind are words that we use to describe the experience of what goes on in our head, right? It has nothing to do with. So I have no doubt that there is a part of brain.
I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to keep up. Sorry, it's really hard.
So there's absolutely a part of brain that consciousness comes from, and there's absolutely a part of thoughts that consciousness comes from.
Okay.
Right, we know that because when you meditate,
we don't know where. Yeah, we can't figure out what the fuck does consciousness come from. That's the hard problem, right? It's called the hard problem.
Well, sort of, but like I mean, we know that if you take EEG electrodes and plug them up to your brain, and as you enter a state of meditation, that state is distinct from the state of mental activity, which is distinct from the state of sleep, which is distinct from the state of dreaming, right? So we know that these are all have physical representations.
Those are the 4 states. That's it.
I mean,
dreaming. Dreaming, meditation, dreaming, meditation, sleeping, and what the normal one was.
Consciousness, thinking.
Conscious, okay. Thinking is better, not consciousness.
So consciousness without thought is one. So let's just think about this. You can have your consciousness active, and you can have your mind active, or you can have them inactive.
I thought it again. I thought this fucking motherfucker, he's not a bad person. Why do I keep thinking that?
What are you talking about? The construction guy?
There's a guy fucking doing construction above my head. Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason. and
he's
so
not a bad person at all.
So
Reckful,
right now, your mind is something that we call stimulus bound, which is that generally speaking, your mind has the capacity to filter out stimuli that are not relevant to what you're doing. And as you become more stimulus bound, your capacity, your brain's ability to filter out stimuli.
It does it better when it's regular and not irregular, though.
Completely agree. So part of being stimulus bound is attenuating a stimulus. So if you like walk into a room, you'll notice that people are talking, and if you're in that room and there's background chatter, your brain will acclimatize to that stimulus and you'll stop noticing it. That's actually how meditation works, by the way. So what you do with meditation is
by that? You're about to explain.
Yeah. So as you put your attention on just one thing, so you can't empty your mind. What you can do is force your mind or try to direct your mind to just notice one thing. And you can use one thought or one sensation to push out everything else. And then over time, your mind acclimatizes to that last thought, and then that goes away, and then you're left with an empty mind. Does that make sense? So as we use the breath to knock out all of the other thoughts, and if we do the practice long enough, eventually we'll even lose track of the breath in the same way that you acclimatize to other things, and then you're left with nothing but consciousness.
So getting back to the original question, how, when you're meditating, do you go further than just not thinking? What is the next step?
The best way I can describe it, or what's used, is higher levels of consciousness, right? So consciousness is not one thing. there are different, in the same way that mind has different states, right? So it has anxiety, fear, excitement, a high level of activity, a slow level of activity, like sitting back, like enjoying things, being stressed out. The mind has a lot of different fluctuations, and consciousness in that way has different levels of fluctuations. I mean, I wouldn't call them fluctuations. I think they're more tiered than just like lateral fluctuations, but there are different states of consciousness.
So, okay, I would think this is complete mumbo jumbo, except that I've actually experienced the higher state of consciousness, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So anyone who hasn't experienced this, so this goes back to logic and knowledge, right? So you had this realization about the WoW ladder and the grind and stuff like that, and then that realization can't come from the mind. It actually comes from somewhere else, and then your mind understands it afterward. If you think about the breath practice, and sorry if I'm bouncing around too much, but in the breath practice, you noticed something about the breath, and then you recruited your mind to be able to explain it and come up with the word parabola. Does that make sense? So that is consciousness directing the mind to be like, hey, I want you to tell me what this is, or let's think about this, like, let's understand what we already know.
Yo, bros, we gotta figure this out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you already have the answer.
Do I?
Yeah, because it's not the product of logic. Right? You figure it out first, and then your logical mind understands it afterward.
You don't figure it out first. You feel like you're close to figuring it out. You know the conclusion, and then you want the mind to clarify to make it solid.
Very good, because figuring it out, that verb is more mental activity. But like you said, you start with the conclusion, which like is actually kind of mind blowing.
Fucking love talking to you, by the way. It's so cool. Okay.
That's okay. I appreciate the compliment.
So for you, here's the big disconnect I think for people on Twitch and you. See, you've probably been talking to people similar to you for a long time because you went to a good school. You're talking to colleagues, or do you call them colleagues?
I don't know who you're referring to.
Peers. You're talking to peers at a good school all the time. Now with gamers,
I went to UT Austin, which is like a pretty good school, but it's also like, you know. So.
Oh, you went here.
Yeah.
Okay, but regardless, I dropped out of high school, right?
Okay.
So the only people I'm talking to are all sitting at home playing games, which is fine, but fuck, what am I trying to say?
Sounds like you're making a comparison of some kind of why I am the way I am.
All of us gamers sitting on here on Twitch, we haven't gotten to experience conversations like the ones you have regularly, I think.
Okay.
And then it's really nice as soon as I'm in it, I'm just, wow, I'm stimulated, my mind's stimulated, I'm learning, and you're making it fun to learn for me, and usually it wasn't fun.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way. I would also be, I mean, to be honest, Reckful, I think some of the most profound and awesome conversations that I've had are with gamers who are going nowhere in life. Like, you know, I don't think you need to be at a top-tier institution. I firmly believe this. Like, part of the reason that I stream on Twitch, it's funny. So I talk more about what I truly believe on Twitch than I do at HMS. Because I think the people here are more open-minded, willing to listen, and able to learn than people in like a top-tier academic institution.
Do you think you've learned anything from us Twitch people?
Tons.
Really?
Every single day, man.
Cool. You're learning something from me?
Absolutely.
You're not just saying that?
No.
Okay.
So, Reckful, think about this for a second.
Yeah. I mean, think something useful other than how to use the, the technology.
So, Reckful, let's pause for a second. How am I able to do what I am doing? What makes me good at this?
You can relate.
Okay, what does that mean? Like, how does one...
a lot. It's not really what it is, though. I don't fucking know why you're good. I just know you are.
Yeah, it's because you're teaching me in this moment.
I don't believe that. Maybe I have low self-esteem or something.
No, you do. Maybe you have low self-esteem, but understand. So like this is me getting XP for all of the other conversations. Every response you give me helps me understand like a future conversation in a slightly different way. Every person that I talk to helps me understand the condition of humanity.
I think if I weren't me, I could believe you.
Yeah. Then we got to get to the issue of like why you can't believe that about yourself. Why do you need validation? Why do you talked about it, right? So where despite all of your amazing successes and being Wreckful Gladiator and doing this and doing that and Everland and all the other stuff that you've done successsuli, why is it that you cannot value
What is
yourself?
Wreckful Gladiator?
That's the video that I saw. That was
okay.
2010 or whatever. 2006.
Fucking old, yeah. It's 2009.
Yeah.
They got taken down immediately.
Yeah, I remember. So despite all of these things, despite Blizzard having to patch the game so that you can continue to grow, why is it that you can't believe this about yourself? Why is it that
I believe I was good at that game.
Why do you not have inherent value in yourself as a person?
I would love to know that.
How long have you felt that?
My whole life.
I don't think
As far as I can remember. As long as I can remember. As long as I can remember.
Do you feel like so you don't feel like you're good enough?
It's not like I'm going in for a test that I need to be good enough for it. It's just that I don't feel my value being added to situations. I feel like if I were dead, it'd be the same. Just one guy, 7 billion people, maybe almost 8 now. Who knows?
I think we're sitting at 7 points. I'm just gonna I'm gonna think for a second, okay?
I know what happened here, but I didn't understand it right away. Drinking almond milk yesterday. Didn't clean this cup. I drank water out of it. Some gross looking shit in here. I was debating whether I show you guys. Probably nobody wants to see. I'll just go clean the cup.
Yeah, so when you guys say something like low self-esteem, that's not a reason, that's a synonym. Right? Like, I mean, so not enough meditation is also something that's not the reason why, that's a solution, potentially, but it doesn't help us understand, like, this is an issue of diagnosis, not of treatment. So possible, right? So the easy answer is that this goes back to abandonment and losing his brother. Like, that's something that, you know, us as psychiatrists and therapists love to come back to, is defaulting to the answer of, oh, that's the cause of all of his problems. But I think defaulting to his dad, I mean his brother, is actually, like, intellectually lazy and possibly doing him a disservice. So arrogance deep inside, it's not the arrogance that's deep inside. So understand this, when you have low self-esteem, arrogance isn't deep inside. Arrogance is on the outside, and the low self-esteem is on the inside. That's what narcissism is, right? A belief that other people should treat you like you're the best in the world, and a belief in yourself that you're the worst in the world. That's narcissism. Arrogance is on the outside. Low self-esteem is on the inside. So he's not deeply arrogant. So I don't know what that... If anyone's deeply arrogant, it's me. You're not gonna see it. So bullied. Right? Open this chat. Okay. Let's open this chat.
Decided to look for my noise canceling headphones.
Okay.
I could just not deal with the construction. But then I was thinking about whether it's better to try to deal with the construction. You know what I'm saying? Like to try to get used to it and overcome that I'm hearing it.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think you should use.
While.
I think you should use noise canceling headphones. I think you should be where you are, and don't confuse where you are with where you want to go, because those are very different things, and it takes time to get to where you want to go.
Don't confuse where I am with where I want to be. Oh, I see.
Right. So one day, in theory, you would be able to do this without noise canceling headphones. We don't know how bad the construction is, but you shouldn't blame yourself for wanting to use it. I think it's smart. Reckful, do you know why everyone in your chat is talking about cock?
Wait, everybody in my chat is talking about cock?
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't even know what that is, but anyway.
Wait, what's chat? Can you guys? What happened today? Are you guys okay? Cock. Cock.
Anyway, let's.
No, I'm just. What you just did. They're so happy that this happened. Because now that you noticed that they were spamming cock. That was the goal. That's why they were doing it.
Okay.
They got you.
It'll be the first, not the first time and not the last. I'm just a sad boomer trying to understand Twitch. And I think I've discovered. I think I've finally decoded Pog. By the way.
I can't believe how many times you stuttered trying to say that. That was really funny. I think I'm
Absolutely.
All right.
So Pog is just something that you add randomly to the end of other things, right?
Randomly?
Yeah.
I'm insulted.
It's like so now I would say insulted Pog. Doesn't that work?
Yes, but that's not random. It doesn't work. You could do it. You could.
So then I could say it's not random Pog. That works too, right?
Yeah, but okay. The thing is,
do you know what being me on Twitch feels like? It feels like
really
being an AI trying to pass the Turing test.
That's funny.
It's like I'm trying to show.
If you guys don't know that Turing test is something you can tell. It's like AI. If something passes the Turing test, and AI passes the Turing test, you can't tell it what to do.
So I'm trying really hard to not be a movie, and I think I can mimic it, but I really don't understand it because at the end of the day, I'm not human. I'm just. So then I would say just an AI Pog.
They always think I'm the one on psilocybin. That sentence was crazy.
Right?
All
so
right.
that
yeah.
Anyway, so let's try to actually help you a little bit. So you have this belief that you don't have value.
I had value right now teaching about Twitch. It's a little bit, right? A little bit.
Sure.
But I don't usually feel like I have much value. I wonder if it'll change as a bigger thing. But it doesn't seem to be. So like I've done a lot of things in my life now, especially now. It still isn't changing that I don't feel like I have value.
Okay.
The only reason why I'm sad, I no longer jumping off the edge is because I think when I'm sad, I think about other people who will be affected.
Okay. I'm glad that's the way to go. And I want to actually set every day.
But for those people, I'm adding value.
Yes, but let's forget about all that for a second. I was going to say something that I think is a little bit more complicated than part of this. But I will say this. So, there is a difference between having value and feeling like you have value. Right? So do you have value or do you feel like you lack value?
I know logically that I have value, but I don't feel it.
Okay. There are times when you feel it, right?
Once in a while, someone will say, "Man, you really like." I'll get these long emails actually, like, "Man, you're getting a lot recently." Just telling me I changed their life in a good way. While I'm reading it, I'll feel value. But then if I got a bunch of them that day and they kind of blend together, then on the fifth one I read, I wouldn't feel value.
Okay, so now, fine. So I want you to just notice that your sense of value is determined based upon your feelings.
My sense of value is dependent on the feelings?
Yes. Because you're telling me that when you read something...
I think it's dependent on other people's feelings.
Well, that's true as well, but other people... So I don't think it's dependent on other people's feelings precisely, so if you understand how the mind works. Other people's behaviors make you feel a certain way.
Other people's behaviors make me feel a certain way. And if they're giving me positive feedback a lot, then I sense of self-worth.
Yep. But the feeling is on your end. It's actually not their feeling. It's your feeling.
Okay, feeling was wrong.
Right? So I first of all, I want you to stop and think for a moment about whether one should base what they know on their feelings.
Whether one should base what they know on the feelings, no. You should not.
Okay, so that's the first thing, right? So there are different sources of knowledge. There is something that I'm going to call intuition, or realization, or consciousness, or experience. Like, that's one bucket of knowledge. That's called jnana. So the Sanskrit word is jnana. G-N-Y-A-N. Okay?
The what word? Sanskrit?
Sanskrit, yeah. So, for
Sanskrit.
example, Rekful...
Can you spell that so I just remember it?
S-A-N-S-K-R-I-T. Sanskrit.
Yeah, Sanskrit. Okay, I've seen that.
So, do you know what a strawberry tastes like?
Yeah.
What does it taste like?
Couldn't tell you in words, but I know what it is.
Exactly. That's jnana. Right? So when we're thinking about whether grinding to get to gladiator rank is important or not important, you had a realization one day where you understood a bunch of stuff. You understood something core.
N-Y-A-N?
G-N-Y-A-N.
G-N-Y-A-N.
It's a...
Nyan.
Yeah, there's like a weird sound. Nut. It has a nut that doesn't exist in the English language.
We're all typing it in chat now.
Or J-N-Y-A-N is the other way that gets translated.
J-N-Y-A. Nyan. I like the G.
Okay. So...
Nyan.
Yes.
Nyan.
It's like nyan nyan.
Nyan.
The Weibo nyan nyan. But, so... one source of knowledge is jnana. Right? So that's like experience, realization, and sometimes your mind catches up. Your thoughts catch up. Once you figure something out, like you know that you figured it out, it takes some time for your mind to catch up and be able to explain it or fully understand it. Or like break it down into pieces that the logical mind can understand. Another source of knowledge is vidya. So vidya, V-I-D-Y-A, is information, is objective, and is transmissible. So
it's information, it's objective, and it's transmissible.
yes. Right? So
What does that mean?
in a textbook is full of vidya. You can read a textbook from cover to cover and never understand something.
Yeah.
Right? You can
Bunch of
memorize
shitty
without
vidyas in
understanding. Yeah, just shitty vidyas in there, right?
Yeah.
And so the person who has jnana can write a textbook. So you can have E equals MC squared and understand what that means, and then you can write an entire textbook. Does that make sense?
I can have E equals MC squared and understand what that means, and I can write an entire textbook. Does that make sense? No.
It does not. Okay. So, like, you know, we have physics textbooks, and physics textbooks are designed through doing vidya over and over again as you do problems and equations and stuff. At some point, hopefully you get a light bulb when you're studying something, and then you get it. It clicks.
That makes
And
sense.
once it clicks, you no longer need the textbook. In fact, if a student is struggling to understand it, you can go to them and you can explain to them in a way that's better than the textbook, right?
Yes.
So jnana is about like understanding the core thing. Like you can explain this concept of chasing.
I love Nyan, actually. Nyan is the best.
Jnana is completely the best. Completely agree. Our
The thing is-
society.
Yeah, I always feel like someone asked me, what does that taste like? Like what you did with the strawberry. And my ex-girlfriend was so good at describing what something tastes like. It was so frustrating because she would want me to describe in words what it tasted like. I'm like, I don't fucking know. I know what it tastes like, dude, but I can't tell you. Like,
Yeah.
I can't tell. Yeah.
So now what we need to do. So there's
I
Vidya.
need to- I want to transfer a neon to someone else.
You can't.
I know, that'd be sick.
So remember how
That's
I
some
said
good technology.
Vidya
do
is
that.
objective, transmissible, and information.
I don't like that you said you can't. I'll figure it out. 50 years from now, I'll make a technology. You'll be
Okay.
like, okay, you had
Okay,
it.
fine. So
Get
Nyan
that.
is subjective, not transmissible. Although if you want to develop a technology, go for it. And
Stop interrupting Recful. Dude, you guys are so mad. People think I'm so rude. I interrupt all the time. It's just how I talk. Should I not do it? Wait, let's hear his opinion. What's your opinion?
I think we should try to finish the conversation instead of talking about whether to interrupt.
That's funny.
Okay.
Yeah, but after. Okay, go ahead.
So like we could say interruption pod. Right?
No.
You can't say interrupt pod?
No, we could actually say it, and now it'll be funny, but we couldn't have said it before, but now we can. God damn
I'm
it.
telling you. The boomer within me is masquerading as whatever it is that Twitch chat is. And I'm pretending and I'm hoping that no one notices. No one notices, Pog. You just take a random ass thing. And you
Not
just
random.
had Pog at the end.
It's not random. The ones you're picking are actually good. You can't say like, I mean, you could. As soon as I say it, it'll be funny. You can't say like, clock from Santorini, Pog.
But wouldn't
For no
that be
reason.
a great
But
Pog?
you could.
Yes.
You could.
That's a great Pog. Clock from Santorini Pog is the best Pog. If something is going to become a meme from this show, it is Clock from Santorini Pog. Right?
Maybe he's right that you can actually take anything. Maybe I was thinking too deep, like specifics.
You weren't
And
thinking
got-
deep
you're-
enough, my
you're thinking
friend. You're
you're
not
high
thinking
level as
deep
fuck.
enough.
Yeah.
You're
So
too
you just-
shallow, baby. You gotta go deeper to the essence of Pog. Have Nyan of Pog.
No. Wait. When you say deep, here's a question. When you say deep, sometimes I mean deep into the specifics, and then there's a high level version of thinking, and there's specifics. But there's depth to the specifics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and there's depth to the big picture.
There's depth in both, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so let's go back to, or maybe this is just we can just call this aborted fetus what it is, but
No,
let's
Nyan.
Yeah, let's go.
Nyan.
So when it comes to you don't have Nyan of value of yourself. So no amount of convincing will work. It has worked.
Okay, that hurt. But it was true.
Right? So what we need to do for you is give you Nyan of value of yourself. Because once you have Nyan of value of yourself, no one can convince you otherwise.
I looked over at the chat, and they're just putting Pog on everything, dude. That hurt Pog. True Pog. God damn it. He's right. Okay, anyway. I'm getting distracted. I'm closing the chat. You guys are too much fun, okay? Okay, I closed it. So, I don't have the feeling when I eat a strawberry, and I can tell you what it tastes like. I can't tell you what it tastes like, but I know. Nyan, I know it.
Yep.
I can remember the taste right now. I don't have a memory of value for myself in my head.
Not memory, a realization.
Not a memory.
of value.
A neon.
Yeah.
Yeah, a neon.
So to get this thing out root and stem, you must have
I don't believe that I will ever have it.
Of course not. I mean, of course you would believe you would never have it because you've never had it, right? It's like, it's not as simple, like, it's hard to understand or believe that you will ever know what a strawberry tastes like.
I don't have taste buds.
So there's another piece of this. So the first is that we can cultivate a practice for you where you develop a sense of self outside of mind and hopefully have a realization of your true self. That's something we can do. The second thing that we can do is understand if you've had some kind of experience or Nyan or some scar of being valueless.
Wait. Other people feel a value of themselves. What does it feel like?
The same way, what does strawberry taste like? It's
You just know that you have a value.
Yeah, so, and this is complicated, but close your eyes.
It's kind of painful to think that I don't have this thing. You really have a thing? You can feel a value of yourself. You can just taste it. You know?
Yeah.
But now,
Yeah.
I don't have it.
Here's the thing. It doesn't taste what people think it tastes like. That's what I would say. Right? So people build up this image of what it feels like. But I absolutely have none of my value. And the thing is, it's not really value. Value isn't even the right word. But, like, value is, like, the closest thing in the mind. So I want you to close your eyes. What were you feeling right
I was feeling sad that I don't have any value.
now? That is something you should be sad about.
Yeah.
And
I'll close my eyes now and do the thing.
That's okay. Let's just talk for a second, if that's okay with you. It's hard for me to just let that slide unless you really want me to.
Let's let it slide for now.
Okay, so close your eyes. I want you to find the moment where inhalation becomes exhalation. And I want you to try for 9 breaths and make them as slow as possible. Good. Notice the feelings as they arise and return your attention to the breath. There's a tsunami of sadness inside you, and I want you to breathe and notice that in-between space. You don't have to push the tsunami away. You can let it come and just breathe. Find that moment between inhalation and exhalation. Find the parabola. Be patient with yourself. If you have feelings, let yourself feel them. And then return to the breath. Push nothing away. Let it wash over you. Let the feelings arise. There you go. Now you're doing it. Right, so continue to find the parabola and zoom in a little bit more. Slow down time for yourself. Reckful, what I'm seeing is someone who is sitting in a place where they're meditating and looking for their breath, and all around them volcanoes are erupting, earthquakes are happening, lightning is striking, and tsunamis are happening. Feel all of those things and find the breath. It's okay, give yourself some time. Feel them. Find the breath. Concept. Not consciousness. Not consciousness. Right? So train yourself to be in consciousness. Practically go to a yoga class. Do you do yoga?
No, but there's actually a yoga class immediately next to me.
So go to a
Very
yoga
close.
class. And if you want to
I want to go
join-
with someone. I don't want to go by myself. I need
Okay.
to have a friend to go.
Okay, so start going with a friend, but at some point you got to start going by yourself.
Can't do it yet.
Okay, that's okay. So you'll get there. Right? You'll get there. And be patient.
This was a good talk today. I know it's not over yet, necessarily.
No, I think we're at a good stopping point.
Yeah, I made some good progress, and I
Yeah.
feel like I need to relax.
Be patient with yourself. Be forgiving of yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. And
I hope
remember
people
that
benefit.
within you.
I really hope people watching benefited also.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just remember.
Makes me feel cool that it's such a shitty thought, but it makes me feel cool that I'm benefiting someone else. It's not a shitty thought. It's not a shitty thought. It's fine.
Yep. I think what you're maybe feeling sad about is that that's the way that you can't see value for yourself. In order for you to like make this worthwhile, like it has to help other people, which on the one hand is noble, but so I just want you to have this like just sear this image in your mind, Reckful, of you sitting among, because you were there, man. Like I don't know if you know this, but you were there. Volcanoes, lightning, tsunamis, earthquakes, cockpog, all around you.
Pog.
Right? There's the funny thoughts
God damn it.
and the devastating thoughts. Right?
We
All
need
of
to
them
pause
are
it.
there.
We need to talk on the pause.
And the breath can be found between all of it. It doesn't matter. Cockpog is bag and earthquakes are
No.
bag.
Can't have any more cockpog. So you wouldn't say meditation pog. Breath pog. Right? Breath. Oh, breath is good. Yeah, meditation. Pog. Right? Not meditation pog. So we need cock. Pog.
Can we get someone to just clip him saying, "We need cock," and then the pause after, and just stop the clip right there? I'd love to.
I stop it here, actually. This is where you stop. All right. It was a good session. I hope everyone had fun watching. And Dr. K, I love you.
I love you too, man.
And I'll see you guys next time.
All right, strong work today.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
All right. Like, that's just too good, right? Like, when he just pauses, such a pregnant pause. Such a pregnant pause. Like, that's what I browse LSF for. That's fair, right? That's not me karma pouring. That's just actually, like, a really good thing to have on LSF. That's what LSF is made for, is to take things that people say out of context and meme them. Right? All right, so I'm going to run a quick ad break just because I need to take a minute, and then we'll...